Okay, with my intro, just making sure the settings are right. So, you may have heard and seen a lot of these reviewers talk about the Odyssey and the upcoming Spider-Man film, as well as talk about Resident Evil. Um, a lot of this is quite both entertaining and rather disturbing, simply because we have different perspectives on it. And perspectives is, one thing. It's essentially you're giving your point across, but a whole nother thing to just be kind of a newcomer, such as myself, And I'm not claiming to be an expert, but what I do want to say is being, in my mid 30s, I kind of gained some experience just because I've been in this niche for a long time, and I put a lot of stuff in quotation marks because I tend to quote a lot of people. But um, there's a thing about you know those so-called content creators that just want viewers. They just want viewership and subscribers, versus those who really kind of know who do know what they're talking about. You got people like the Critical Drinker who are just entertainers, right? Neurotic, primary entertainer. Maybe they know something, but in a nutshell, they're just trying to really entertain you. And at first, they were entertaining, but then I just started to catch certain patterns, right? If they kept, hating on everything, they kept binge watching content that they didn't like, that they knew that they weren't going to like, such as Witcher series, such as not the Witcher series, but such as um, things like Lord of the Rings and the several different Star Wars and stuff. And they're friends with Film Thread, which is fine and dandy until all of them start to come together in order to, I guess, roast and hate on every single bit of content. Recently it was with the Odyssey. Before that, it was with Supergirl. And of course it was with Snow White, but now the Supergirl or Snow White. I mean, sorry, now the Supergirl or the Odyssey, especially not the Odyssey, is anything close to Supergirl. It doesn't deserve that much hate. So I want to go into it. You see the screen. You see the Spider-Man is on every single IMDb page because it's coming up, and I'm scheduled to see it at 12 o'clock today for Showtime at MC Metro 16. Of course, I got the Resident Evil here because really, ultimately, that's the upcoming film by Zach Cregger. Zach Cregger, known for Barbarian and Weapons, and known for being a writer in Companion. I feel like he doesn't get a lot of credit for Companion, but I just want to pardon my drifting away and literally um, stuttering because I have a speech impediment, but really am quite enthusiastic about a lot of this stuff. So without further ado, I want to get into Snarky J cosplay because she had some content watching this today. I started watching roughly 5 minutes of it, but it turns out she rather enjoy it. So start it from the beginning. Make sure I share. Also, before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Hype me up if you feel like I'm worthy of it. And also, um, tend to turn into me more as I like to break down the latest movie news. I like to live stream a lot. I know people do video games, but I do like movies and video games. So and you get to see more. So anyway, let's get into it and let's see what Snarky J cosplay has to say about Odyssey.
Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey might be one of the only movies that has ever gotten me to say the 3 words every man wants to hear and the words no woman ever wants to say. I was wrong. Hey y'all, Snarky J Cosplay here. As of the time of this video's recording, Christopher Nolan's latest film, his take on the Odyssey, has been in theaters for over a week. This, of course, is my review video, and I'll get into my numerical rating in just a few minutes, and we'll really break down the meat and potatoes of what I loved and didn't love about this movie. But first and foremost, I want to acknowledge something. Lately, I've started to feel that the chain of criticism, because I don't want to use the word toxicity, has become on YouTube like the famous image of the snake eating itself. It is all-consuming. It is a circle that doesn't end, and it continues and feeds off itself. And I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite. I know I've been part of that chain when it comes to Star Wars, DC, Marvel. I'm one of the first people to sit here and about casting choices and rave about poor trailers.
Yep. First of all, cleavage. Yes, I notice that every time. Also, yeah, she's been one of the people to constantly hate on everything. You know, like I said, the Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, this franchise. That why choose to watch something that you hate? Another YouTuber that does what she does, is Jessica. Yeah, she tends to do that a lot. She tends to, repeat and regurgitate the same information that you typically hear. And if I'm not looking directly at my camera, I'm doing something like I'm copying a lot of these well URLs so that I kind of give people credit. So it's not my video. That's why I always share, copy the URL so that it kind of protects me from copyright infringement because this is not my stuff that I'm showing. I'm somebody else's. But letting you know, and I've also got a disclaimer in my description. That disclaimer that says the video may contain copyrighted material, the use of which I'm reading right now, has not been specifically authorized by the copyright owner. We are making such material available for the purpose of criticism, comment, review, and use recording, yada yada yada. Basically, I'm admitting that I don't have ownership of it. There you go.
I just did it last week. But when it came to the Odyssey, it felt like a lot of people latched onto casting choices and ideas about what they thought the story was going to be. The Odyssey is now over 2,000 years old, and it's one of the most adapted stories ever written. In fact, most people will never read it in its borderline archaic language. Everybody reads translations and summaries, and I don't know how many films at this point have already adapted the Odyssey. Like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And I don't know how many of you grew up in the 2000s, but if you remember the very first SpongeBob movie, that movie is also an adaptation of the Odyssey. So when Christopher Nolan announced...
Yeah, there's a lot of different adaptations. There's no single right one. This was produced like several thousands of years ago before Jesus even walked the earth. It's BC, so a lot of historical accuracy is just unnecessary.
Announced his version, and the casting choices were revealed, I heard what everybody had to say. And I'll admit, for a little while, I actually bought into it. I went as far as to have a conversation with a friend of mine where I said, I think this might be Chris Nolan's first flop. For some reason, if you go back through this channel, I never reacted to any teaser trailers, I never commented on any of the casting choices, I never spoke about the Odyssey until now. Something in the back of my mind told me not to judge this film.
True, I was wondering what her opinion was. I was wondering why didn't she just get into it like everybody else? What's going on with you? And by the way, she tends to get help with her ticket purchases, meaning that somebody buys her tickets because she can't afford it.
Until I'd seen it. I took a step back and I watched a trailer about a few days before I went to watch it in theaters. And I said to myself, watch the trailer as if you were the average moviegoer, as if you weren't a YouTuber whose entire livelihood depends on views and ad revenue. And when I watched that, forgetting all the controversy about casting choices, forgetting the drama spread by some of my contemporaries, I said, I think this looks like a good movie. So I bought tickets and I went in with that attitude. And I can tell you that that period of reflection made it so possible for me to enjoy the Odyssey as an absolute feast for the senses. I think this film is going to go down as one of the greatest films made in the past 2 decades. I give the Odyssey an 8.5 out of 10, and it honestly killed me to dock it a 1.5. I would have docked it maybe a little bit more for some things, but to be completely honest, this film was an absolute ride from start to finish. Like I said, the Odyssey is a feast for the senses. Visually, emotionally, auditorily, which, to be completely honest, I think that I might need hearing aids after that movie, and we'll get into it, but they're still ringing. It's now been, I don't have a watch on, but it's been like 3 days, and I still can't hear shit. This is one of the loudest movies I have ever seen, and that is actually one of my major points of contention, but we're not there just yet. My rating stands at a strong 8.5 out of 10. Now, there are going to be spoilers about Homer's The Odyssey and Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey moving forward. If you feel like you're offended by the Odyssey being spoiled for you, I have news for you. It's over 2,000 years old. I'm sorry if you didn't jump on the boat sooner. Now, as I mentioned, I don't have a super deep connection to the Odyssey. My first exposure to the Odyssey was actually a children's play that I saw in like elementary school. And then over the years, I've ended up reading some parts of translations. I've read some novelizations. I've interacted with the content and Homeric poems on and off. But I will say it's not something I'm totally 100% connected to. And to be completely honest, I think a lot of the people ranting and raving about it online also aren't all that connected to Homeric poetry, but that's neither here nor there. What I want you to gain from that understanding is that I'm somebody that is very much willing to take what Christopher Nolan had to say with a grain of salt. I was and am willing to look at this as an adaptation rather than a true recreation. Christopher Nolan took on the Herculean task of adapting over 600 pages of ancient literature that's been translated, interpreted, and debated by scholars for centuries, and then somehow turned it into a 3-hour movie. Now, admittedly, this doesn't always work. Some of the pacing in the Odyssey is notably off. There are some scenes that are gonna take absolutely forever, and you start to feel like, I might never get home either. And there are some moments where maybe a little bit more background, maybe a little bit more explanation into what Nolan was trying to do would have been useful, and yet he speeds through that. And combined with that, there are story changes that tend to make the Odyssey a little bit confusing along the way. The epic of the Odyssey essentially starts in media res, in the middle of the action. And this movie does the exact same thing, but I think the fact that he changes so many story elements and some of the pacing is completely off that it really makes it kind of hard to follow at times. But I will say, if you're not walking into the theater expecting the definitive adaptation, there's a lot to be appreciated here. The performances are committed across the board, the costume design is phenomenal, and the blend of practical effects and CGI is honestly refreshing in an era where so many blockbuster films now feel weightless and in the wrong way. I legitimately walked out of the theater already wanting to watch it for a second time. Not because I found it confusing, but because I wanted to experience it again, maybe when my ears weren't ringing, because holy shit. Now, I've given you my overview, I've given you my ratings. I want to dive into the meat and potatoes of this. Let's get in deep here, okay? I want to discuss the casting first, because I feel like that is why so many people in my camp of YouTubers and in general had their knives drawn and sharpened for this film before it was even released. Of course, there was the controversy surrounding Elliot Page being cast as Achilles first. He plays Sinon, which, if you know anything about the Odyssey, Sinon is not technically a character in Homer's The Iliad or the Odyssey. He actually comes from Virgil's The Aeneid. And while he's not a character that technically should be there, Elliot Page's performance does not bother me. It doesn't take me out of the film. Then there were the other casting choices people couldn't stop talking about. Travis Scott as the Bard, Himesh Patel as Eurylochus, John Leguizamo as Eumaeus, and Lupita Nyong'o playing both Helen of Troy and her twin sister. But after sitting down and watching this movie, I can tell you right now that none of those performances bother me. And in fact, most of the performances in this film were absolutely brilliant. I found myself rooting for Himesh Patel as Eurylochus the entire film. Even though I knew Odysseus's men would never make it home, I was dying for him to make it. Robert Pattinson is absolutely despicable as Antinous, and as somebody who grew up watching him in Twilight and later fell in love with him as the Batman, it was so interesting watching him tap into this sort of feral sliminess that really makes him despicable. Tom Holland is absolutely excellent as Telemachus. He plays it both empathetic and sympathetic. He's actually a very relatable character in this, and there are a lot of changes to his character that we'll talk about later, but all in all, he did a brilliant job with the role. Anne Hathaway gives one of the performances of a lifetime when it comes to Penelope. Now, I will say, and we'll talk about this a little bit more later as well, but there's a lot of changes made to Penelope in this film. This is definitely an Odyssey for a modern audience, and we'll talk more about that later. Typically, I don't say for a modern audience as a compliment. In this case, I don't think it's a compliment or an insult. Christopher Nolan just chose to do something different with this character, and honestly, it didn't seem like he was sending the message. Charlize Theron as Calypso is... I have no words. I would have stayed on that island willingly. She is charming. She is soft. She feels manipulative. You know there's more there. She plays all of those parts beautifully. Now I need to talk about Zendaya as Athena, because that was actually one of the casting choices that had me the most skeptical going in. For most of the movie, I never really got the sense that I was looking at a goddess, and because the Odyssey features other gods like Zeus, Poseidon, and Hermes, it felt a little strange to me that the only divine being we get any screen time with here is Athena. But then Nolan reveals why she looks the way that she does. Again, spoilers ahead, you've been warned. Zendaya isn't really meant to be Athena in the literal sense. Earlier in the film, Odysseus witnesses a young Trojan woman being killed during the sack of Troy at the same time as the temple of Athena is desecrated. And because he's carrying so much guilt and trauma from the war, which is the major theme behind this film, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, that woman's face becomes the image his mind associates with Athena. And once I realized that that's what Nolan was doing, I actually thought the casting was brilliant. Athena isn't just the goddess that is guiding Odysseus. She's a manifestation of his guilt, the guilt that's followed him ever since Troy. Matt Damon is the heart of this movie, though. He absolutely carries it. See, Odysseus is a legendary figure, but he's not legendary in entirely good ways. Odysseus' hubris against the gods, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes, is essentially what drives the force of the Odyssey. And yet somehow Matt Damon plays an Odysseus that is broken, that is lost, that is dying to get home, that you feel sympathetic for at so many moments, and yet he also plays that ego-driven soldier that is essentially the master of his own destiny and the reason why he ends up taking 20 years to get home. Even when the movie changes core aspects of the original story, it's Matt Damon's riveting performance that grounds the film emotionally. Benny Safdie's in this. He plays Agamemnon. He's in it for 4 minutes. Agamemnon stole every f***ing scene he was in. He's an absolute Ara farmer. I think most of that is chalked up to his actual armor, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. John Leguizamo also deserves a lot of credit. It's incredible to see that the guy who plays Sid from Ice Age delivers such a brilliant, sympathetic performance as Eumaeus. To be honest, my main quarrel is that I wish there would have been a central accent. It's kind of weird when everybody sounds so different across the board. Realistically, most of these films, they end up just making everybody British, and I feel like that would have been more helpful. The only character, there's one character, one actor that took me completely out of this movie. And it devastates me to say it because I absolutely love this actor. I love Jon Bernthal. I never felt like I was watching Menelaus, king of Sparta. What I was watching was Jon Bernthal. He gestures the same way. He makes the same looks with his face. He's got, like, what the f***? Everybody else was trying to do something different, and Nolan let Jon Bernthal be Jon Bernthal. And when he needed to play the king of Sparta, I felt like it was 100% a f***ed up either casting choice or an issue with directing. I don't know why he didn't try to talk him out of that, but that really, really did a number on me in terms of my immersion in the film. Thankfully, I would argue that that is the exception rather than the rule. Overall, I think the casting controversy surrounding this movie was super overblown. Once I actually...
So it sounds a lot like she's actually getting the feel for actually generally reviewing films. When I say that, she's actually paying attention to content. Not paying attention as content, but she's examining the movie from the lens of a reviewer. Okay. not just content. She's not just pushing out content. You know, she's actually giving me something, a reason to want to listen to her because she's talking about film elements. She's talking about story and characterization and casting choices, things that she's being objective about. She's not being subjective about. She's not just giving a bunch of bullet points. Well, this movie's terrible for this reason. It's doing this, it's doing that. One thing that she did say, it's not it's not trying to preach the message, as the drinker would say, you know, or the critical drinker, aka Will Jordan, typically does that. He typically says, the message. There is no message in this movie. Well, there is, but it's not trying to preach it to you. It's not trying to throw it into your face and say, you have to listen, you have to pay attention. No, it says there is a message, but you will get it only if you pay attention. You do have to pay attention, but we're not making you pay attention. Kind of a little bit weird. It's weird in a good way. Well, I'm glad that she's finally paying attention to something, judging the film for its own merits, rather than the PR or anything around it.
Sat down and watched it, I stopped thinking about who had been cast and where they were from and just started believing the characters. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's kind of what matters.
Also, we have a tendency to try to, want everybody to be white and shit. But the thing is, if you look at shows like The Walking Dead, the reason why it hits so many viewers is not because you have a general one race of the cast. You have multi races in the entire cast. You got black people, Hispanics, Asians, Indians, whites, all kinds of people. Those usually are white protagonists, such as Wick, son Carl, but there's other protagonists that even outshine Wicket sometimes in some episodes. That's Michonne. She's straight up black. There's of course Negan is white, and what's his name? Guy with the bow is white. I forgot his name. Photoshop episode show AMC. But the point is, that's a diverse casting all around across the board. And yet people beloved the Walking Dead thing. They had spin-offs, including Fear the Walking Dead, and there's Negan, some called City of the Dead, or whatever it's called, with Negan and uh, uh, you know, let me shoot out of here. Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I'm really looking for the show that spin-offs. The Walking Dead. Maggie is her name. Maggie Green, the daughter of Osher Green, wife of what's his name, Glenn. Oh, the Dead City. So there's gonna be a new season of Dead City. This show right here. You wouldn't have spin-off series without having a successful show, and that's due to the multi-racial casting.
Beyond the performances, I think one of this film's greatest strengths is how absolutely beautiful it is to look at. The visuals are absolutely stunning. The CGI is obviously there when it needs to be, but it never feels like it's carrying the film. So much of what you're looking at is practical, and because of that, the world feels tangible. It has weight to it in a way that a lot of modern blockbusters no longer do. The costume design deserves a lot of praise too. As somebody who really enjoys Greco-Roman history, I already know that a lot of people have pointed out that a lot of these armor sets are historically inaccurate. The Odyssey is, in fact, a piece of fiction, but we do know that some of the armor doesn't really match what we believe Mycenaean Greece would have looked like during the Trojan War. And everybody bitched about how nobody in Hollywood can get away from the plume helmet. You know who also can't get past the plume helmet? Me, bitch. I love a plume helmet. Put a plume helmet on everybody. I don't care. Put a plume helmet on Batman. I'm so into it. I want to hate it, and I can't. I love it too much. The armor design, the texture, the fabrics, the textiles, everything, the colors, Penelope and her rich gowns, Calypso's flowing garments that make her feel hypnotic every time she's on screen, the subtle differences in the armor sets of Odysseus and his men that go to show you who stands where, and the fact that Odysseus's armor basically feels like it's slowly breaking down over the years, just like he and his hope are breaking down. And nothing feels like it was thrown together just because it looks cool. But speaking of cool, I have to talk about Agamemnon. I'm actually thrilled to talk about the fact that Odysseus's armor basically feels like it's slowly breaking down over the years, just like he and his hope are breaking down. And nothing feels like it was thrown together just because it looks cool. But speaking of cool, I have to talk about Agamemnon. I'm actually thrilled to talk about Agamemnon. I remember when the first images of him were shown, and everybody talked about the historical inaccuracies, but I also thought how incredibly impractical his armor is. When you look at this face, this guy would have no peripheral view. He is covered head to toe in armor. None of this looks practical to move in. In fact, he barely moves at all. We see him stomp onto the battlefield, but we don't actually see him take up arms, because I find it hard to believe that he would be able to do battle in this kind of gear. But the man has barely 4 minutes of screen time, and he absolutely takes control of the screen every time he's there. And when we see him from behind, he's got this weird bone detail on the tail, I guess you could call it, of his helmet's plume. So his armor is impractical. It goes against the designs of the period. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I feel like this is on purpose. Agamemnon isn't just another king. He is the man who wages this war. He's the man willing to sacrifice his own daughter for favorable wins. He is already the most powerful king among the Achaeans, and yet he is driven by ambition. Yes, he's defending his brother, who's been wronged. His wife was taken. But he's also fighting because victory means greater power, means greater assets, greater trade routes, greater wealth, and more power to him as a king. Everything that happens to Odysseus happens because of this war, because of his desperation to win it. That's where it all starts. Without Agamemnon, Odysseus probably gets home years earlier. So when I look at that armor, I don't see something that's just historically inaccurate. I see a harbinger of death. Surrounded by soldiers wearing relatively practical equipment, Agamemnon marches into battle looking almost inhuman. The black armor, the concealed face, the bone detailing, it all makes him feel less like a man and more like a symbol of the destruction that is about to consume everybody around him. Maybe Nolan just thought it looked cool, maybe I'm giving him too much credit, but that's what I got from this after I watched the movie. Now, I do have to talk about my biggest issue, the audio. Holy shit. I am not exaggerating when I tell you that I thought that Cyclops screaming was literally going to permanently damage my hearing. Every storm manages somehow to be louder than the last. Some of the battles are deafening. There were multiple moments where I found myself literally covering my ears in the theater, and here's the kicker, is that some of the dialogue is borderline unintelligible. It almost feels like a game of cat and mouse where you're like leaning forward to listen to what it is that they're saying, and then the next thing you know there's a storm or a creature screaming and you're like, oh, I leaned in too far. The audio mix itself feels like it's bad. It's not even a matter of, oh, not loud enough, too quiet. It literally feels like it wasn't properly mixed. Like the dialogue gets lost in ambient noise, and then seconds later some shit explodes or is destroyed and your ears are rattling for the next 15 minutes. The audio mix, in my opinion, is one of the biggest flaws of the entire film. I almost took off another point for that, but everything else was so strong that I just couldn't. Now this brings me, of course, to my final point in this review, the story itself. Because I think this, for people that read the Odyssey and have any familiarity with it as a concept, this is what's going to separate the people who thought Nolan was being creative and liked what he did, or the people that hated it. Like I said earlier, the Odyssey has been adapted countless times. It's one of those stories that's being constantly reinterpreted, so I'm not going to stand on a soapbox and get really specific about absolute historical or literary accuracy. That said, there are some pretty major changes here. One of the biggest is Penelope. Like I mentioned earlier, Penelope really speaks for herself, but in Homer's The Odyssey, she has a lot less agency here. Telemachus is much less willing to hear her out, out, and at one point even banishes her to her room because he feels that a woman has no place speaking in any of this. Normally, I'd be one of the first people to roll my eyes if I felt that this was modernizing a character just from the sake of sending a message. But honestly, it doesn't come across that way. This just feels like a different interpretation of Penelope, and at the end of the day, she's still stuck in the exact same situation that she's stuck in the original Odyssey. She's just able to voice her opinions more about it, and I liked what they did with her. The movie also leans much harder into the love story between Odysseus and his wife, but Homer's Odysseus does sleep with Circe and also sleeps with Calypso while he's away, while Nolan's Odysseus is an absolute wife guy who is so dedicated to his wife that it doesn't seem like he was even tempted to touch another woman while he was out. It makes a much cleaner emotional through line for a modern audience, even if it does simplify some of with Calypso while he's away, while Nolan's Odysseus is an absolute wife guy who is so dedicated to his wife that it doesn't seem like he was even tempted to touch another woman while he was out. It makes a much cleaner emotional through line for a modern audience, even if it does simplify some of the moral complexity of the original character. Then, of course, there's Sinon. Now, I did mention earlier that Sinon comes from Virgil's The Aeneid rather than Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey. Nolan basically repurposes him here and makes him Antinius' brother, which mostly serves to make Antinius even more despicable as a villain. It works for the movie, even if it's not necessarily super faithful to the source material, but that is a major difference that I know a lot of people are going to latch onto. Helen of Troy also gets some pretty significant changes. In the film, she's made into Clytemnestra's twin sister instead of her half-sister, and she's left with a scar across her face as a mark of shame after the war. My only issue is that none of that is really described particularly well. It's hinted at. Menelaus even makes a joke about the fact that she might have only launched 500 ships now as a result of the scar across her face, but we're really never told exactly who it is that gives her this mark, how it is that she gets it. Nolan assumes either the audience already knows or doesn't care, and he really moves on past that very quickly. That's kind of the story of this movie as a whole. There are a lot of little details that get condensed, omitted, or rearranged in order to fit everything into 3 hours. Several characters are removed entirely, and I really thought the film felt the presence, or lack of presence rather, of the gods. Athena is the only divine figure we see consistently, and even though characters like Zeus, Poseidon, and even the herald Hermes all appear in the original Odyssey, all of those people are completely absent from this film, which sort of helps to take away the mythical element that it would have had. Before I kind of expand on that, because there is an underlying theme in the Odyssey that is completely changed in Chris Nolan's movie, but there was one change that I was absolutely thrilled by. If you're a dog lover, you know what I'm gonna say. The story of Argus. Argus is Odysseus' hunting dog, who lives past the age of 20 because he is waiting for his master to return home. And as a dog lover who hates even leaving my dogs to go to the grocery store, I really didn't want to see this. There is even a famous painting that depicts Argus looking at Odysseus, and we know that in the original Odyssey, Odysseus can't acknowledge him. Really didn't want to see this. There is even a famous painting that depicts Argus looking at Odysseus, and we know that in the original Odyssey, Odysseus can't acknowledge him. He wags his tail, his ears perk up, and Odysseus, at risk of being caught, knows he can't acknowledge him, so he sheds a tear for him and walks right by, and Argus dies, with his last breath being ignored by his owner. And I was like, I can't sit here and watch this. I literally can't look at this. Like, I already had tears in my eyes, but Odysseus actually stoops and pets the dog and lets him die, having acknowledged him. And I know that that change probably feels cheap to a lot of people, but in an animal-loving modern society, I can't deal with it, so I'm glad he did it. Now, this is the part that I really want to get into. I think the major thing that Nolan changes here is not necessarily any one character or any one scene. It's actually the underlying themes of the Odyssey. At its core, the Odyssey is a story about the hubris of one man. That's what causes all of his suffering. He can't help himself. He taunts the Cyclops. He acts on impulse. Odysseus lets his ego get the better of him over and over again, and he digs himself and his men deeper and deeper into a hole. every single time. And that's really the moral of the original story. It's a cautionary tale. Be humble, respect the gods, don't let your pride dictate your decisions. And that's why Odysseus spends so many years trying to get home. It's why so many of his men die. His own arrogance is constantly working against him. But Nolan changes that, because rather than making this a story primarily about hubris, he makes it a story primarily about trauma. Throughout the film, Odysseus isn't just trying to get home, he's trying to live with everything he did at Troy. The people they killed, the city he helped destroy, the horrors he witnessed and participated in. And that horse, the greatest lie, the most devious trick that won him his greatest battle. That's really the burden he's carrying through the entire movie. And when you look at it that way, a lot of Nolan's changes suddenly start making sense. Athena becomes less of a literal goddess and more of a manifestation of guilt. The emphasis shifts away from divine punishment and towards psychological punishment. Instead of asking, what happens when you anger the gods? Nolan asks, what happens when you have to live with what you've done? Personally, I don't think that's better. I also don't think it's worse. I just think it's different. And that's what I mean by this film was an Odyssey made for the modern audience. Homer's audience lived in a completely different world than we do. They believed in these gods. They believed they could incur their favor or their wrath. They would have understood a story about hubris and divine punishment in a way that we simply don't believe in anymore. We live in a largely monotheistic society. Most people aren't walking around wondering if they're about to offend Poseidon in disguise. Those ideas don't carry the same weight that they once did. But what do we understand? PTSD, survivor's guilt, the psychological cost of war, and most of all, the damage violence leaves behind long after the battle is over. Yes. Those ideas are immediately recognizable to a modern audience. So Nolan essentially translates the central struggle of the Odyssey into something we instinctively understand today. In doing so, he definitely loses some of the mythic quality of the original story. That larger-than-life feeling is kind of erased. The cautionary tale about pride and the gods no longer stands as it once was. But while he loses those elements, I'd argue he gains something else. He creates a version of the Odyssey that's emotionally accessible to people who may have never read Homer. Whether that was the right or wrong decision is going to depend completely on what you went into the theater looking for. If you wanted the definitive adaptation of Homer's epic, this probably isn't it. But if you're willing to accept that Nolan is telling his version of the Odyssey, I think there's a lot to appreciate here. At the end of the day, I admittedly am grateful that I forced myself to stop buying into online discourse when I went in to see this movie. Because I think if I'd walked into that theater truly convinced that this was destined to fail, I would have literally been robbing myself out of a phenomenal cinematic experience. Instead,
and that is exactly part of my gripe in here, because I'm trying to get some stuff done and things are not working out as usual. But that's exactly what people do. They walk into a theater expecting to hate it, therefore they're going to hate it. I'm talking, of course, about Critical Drinker and Nerdrotic and even Chris Gore. Well, Chris Gore, he does give a movie a chance. Him and Alan Ingham film through it, they do. But they still end up hating things. They actually kind of hate Spider-Man. They don't hate Spider-Man, but there's some flaws with brand new day, such as the movie being split. But anyway, I'm not going to divulge into that. I'm just saying people walk into a theater wanting to hate a movie, and I just want to rewind whole just one time. Hold on.
if I'd walked this to appreciate here. At the end of the day, I admittedly am grateful that I forced myself to stop buying into online discourse when I went in to see this movie. Because I think if I'd walked into that theater truly convinced that this was destined to fail, I would have literally been robbing myself out of a phenomenal cinematic experience. Instead, I walked in with an open mind, and I walked out having seen what I genuinely think is one of Nolan's best films.
I'm so glad he did that. Let me go in the full screen. I'm trying to get I got two flipping monitors. She's not lying, but she's right. Wait, let me leave a comment. I gotta stop being so loud. God damn it! God damn it! God damn! God damn! I don't care about her other content. She can say whatever about her other content, but when you're reviewing the movie, especially a movie that I have seen, you gotta have good stuff.
Like what I said at the beginning, it's not perfect. The audio mixing is rough at best. The pacing is not super even. Some casting choices just didn't land for me, and admittedly I would have loved a more unified accent across the board. But none of those issues outweighed what the film does really well. For me, The Odyssey is an easy 8.5 out of 10. It's visually stunning, incredibly well acted, ambitious as hell, and exactly the kind of blockbuster I'd like to see Hollywood making more often. And if nothing else, I'm really looking forward to getting an opportunity to see it again. Hopefully next time I'll actually be able to hear all the dialogue and I can walk out without permanent auditory damage. And that's all from me. I've been Snarky J. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more Snarky J, be sure to check me out on Instagram, and if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and cosplay content. I'll add links to all of those in the description below, and let me know your thoughts on Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey in the comments below.
So by now we all know that Christopher Nolan used Emily Wilson's translation of The Odyssey as the inspiration for his movie, but an interesting twist.
Anyway, so there was that. I'm not sure if yeah, those. Just go ahead and play this, I guess, for the next 3 minutes.
Of events, Emily Wilson did not like the movie.
He's too much into it.
What makes this particularly interesting is that I think the media has presented this issue as right-wing people hate the Odyssey movie, Left-wing people love the Odyssey movie. And what I've found over the past week is that it's gotten a lot more complicated than that. The critiques seem to cut sideways across the political aisle. You have people on both sides of the political aisle who love it or hate it. But regardless, her opinion on the movie carries a lot of weight. What the Odyssey gets right and wrong, the scholar's verdict. Professor Emily Wilson has dedicated decades and much tattoo space to Homer. This is what she thinks of the film her translation inspired. She says, "It didn't land emotionally for me at all," which I think is partly about the fact that, unlike Homer, it's not very well written. And I said that in my review, actually. I thought that the dialogue wasn't very good. The characters don't have the kind of depth the Homeric characters do. I felt, do I really care if this guy gets back to his wife? You have not given me any reason to. Everyone, even the gods, have their own histories, motivations, desires. Unfortunately, this is exactly where she felt the film was lacking. The Trojans are faceless robots with masks. Robert Pattinson as Antinous was fantastic, but a cartoon villain, and Polyphemus the Cyclops is a puppet. Wilson says they're also thinly characterized, which contributes to a sense of, do I really care? This is a continuous complaint I have of Christopher Nolan movies. In fact, I was just talking to a friend this morning who said that he loved the Odyssey movie, he went and watched it twice, and he asked me, so why didn't you like it? And one of the things I said is that I think Christopher Nolan characters are just flat, one-dimensional, uninteresting. And Emily Wilson thinks the same thing, is that she just doesn't care about the characters. And that's the major reason that Christopher Nolan movies just don't resonate with me emotionally. Like Emily Wilson, I think Nolan's characters are just flat and uninteresting. Nolan's Odysseus, played by Matt Damon, is not clever, he's not funny, he's just racked by guilt and anxiety. The Odysseus of the poem doesn't need to take psychiatric drugs to get over his PTSD or have Charlize Theron as his therapist. But she does credit Nolan with picking up on Homer's themes of space, time, and memory. Homer is interested in time and memory and how one story is embedded inside another. Nolan is picking up on the narrative sophistication of the original, but that's about where her praise for the movie ends. Homer's Calypso, argues Wilson, is much more interesting than Theron's. She possesses her own fury and divine power, which allows her to detain Odysseus on her island. Helen of Troy, played by Lupita Nyong'o, is far more versatile and capable than her limited screen time allows, Wilson says. Nolan's Athena, played by Zendaya, serves as little more than Matt Damon's conscience, whereas she is actually a war goddess constantly tussling with Poseidon over Odysseus' future. And this is also something I pointed out in my review, where Athena does not have the active role in the movie that she does in the book. Something the film has served to do is to drive a renewed interest in what Wilson calls the original IP, or intellectual property, of Homer. And I absolutely agree with that. I love that talking about the Odyssey and discussing different translation of it has become mainstream thanks to Christopher Nolan's movie. And that's where the article ends, is that Emily Wilson thought that the movie had flat characters, didn't do justice to Homeric themes, it left her feeling oddly flat, and didn't give any space to the Greek gods to do their thing. And Wilson does offer several more critiques, but I just didn't want to rob the article of all of its content. And I do think it's interesting that she didn't say anything about the casting. I think if she had approved, she probably would have said something. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Hit the button, hit the bell. Catch you later.
Okay, look at them. So let's get into some more social media reactions for Brand New Day, Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Ding, 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 film threat. All right, let's check this out here. They're out of the theater. Reaction for Spider-Man Brand New Day. All right.
Well, Alan, we just got out of Spider-Man Brand New Day.
They look happier.
Let me start with that this has the best action ever I've seen on film for Spider-Man. Best action, feels ripped from the comics.
Okay.
Love the action aspect.
You got me. I'm hooked.
Yeah, like inspired by the video games. So the action, bar none, best we've ever seen.
Inspired by the video games. I loved the action of the video games. So, this is all good so far.
In a Spider-Man movie. but there's major problems. For one, and no spoilers, it's like there's two movies. There's a movie that goes, that ends, and then there's more movie like a complete other movie, a different movie.
Interesting.
And I just, after a while I thought, can we just focus on Spider-Man? Way too many side characters that help Spider-Man, including like a cop that he talks to almost constantly.
There's, fans have had an issue with Spider-Man not being by himself in the movies. You know, Tony Stark being his, mentor and everything, and him getting all his tech from Tony, or most of his tech from Tony.
That was actually my first issue with Spider-Man. He seemed like a team player instead of a solo character. And the ending of, well, you can actually say all of No Way Home, but especially the ending, it made sure that you knew that he was going to be a solo act instead of like a team effort, because he's always got Ned and MJ helping him out. If he doesn't have Tony, and it's just too much, he's not doing anything himself, like the other two versions of Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire one that was directed by Sam Raimi, and then you had the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movies with Andrew Garfield.
Tony, and they don't like the fact that Sadie Sink is in it, and the Punisher is in it, and the Hulk is in it. It's like they want to see him on his own with no help at all from anyone.
Yes.
And I understand their pain, their irritation. I personally haven't felt that way, but I understand why they feel that way. I'm basically kind of just indifferent about it. Like, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie to me. But I get that. So this is very interesting.
That leads him along, almost like a ghost sidekick, and they talk on the phone a lot. That got kind of boring quick for me. So while it's got great action, major story problems that turn me off, and a weird second half of a film. Alan, what do you think?
Okay, Alan looks like he wanted to jump in. I just want to say he looks like he got something to say.
Well, I kind of liked it, but I feel like I need to see it a second time in order to get my thoughts together. I'll say this. It's true. There are 2 movies here. And I think, for the most part, I enjoyed the movie. I had fun. But there's a part where something happens, something is revealed, and that's where the second movie comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it literally slows the entire movie down. It's like you've got this momentum going, and something happens where you feel like, okay, maybe it's coming to a conclusion, and then it goes on and on. And I think in my mind I had to say, I really like this movie, but when it slows down and when it goes,
it really slows.
I have to basically say, I can forgive it and then continue to like the movie. I think one thing people will point out is there's a lot of emotion in this movie.
That's
you
fine.
see it in the trailer. This is about Spider-Man on his own, basically the hero with no friends, and that's a big major theme of the first movie. And I kind of liked it. I kind of liked the way it played out. I liked the way it resolved itself. But then again, it just kind of the momentum just slows at the second movie, and it kind of picks up at the end as a superhero movie should, but it never really captures that energy you got. So
interesting.
I'm going to say overall recommendation, but not a perfect movie. And there's a series.
After listening to both of them so far, it sounds like a 3 out of 5. From coming from them, it sounds like a 3 out of 5, which is above average entertainment. You like it, but it's got some problems.
Biggest flaw in the middle of the movie.
Spider-Man and the too many side quests. That's what I would retitle it.
But think of it as achievement points, like achievement goals.
Like a video game. Anyways, there are other problems, but we'll be getting into spoilers, and we're not going to do that because we're getting kicked out of here. So, Alan, what do you got to say?
Let's get out of here.
As long as it's not the side quests from the second game, we're good to go. All right. So I'm feeling happy. I've got my tickets already bought. And yeah, me and Scarlo will be seeing it soon. And you'll have a full review from me, as usual. And I will give you my honest opinion. See, Jeremy Johns has his review up here. I will not watch that because that's a full review. But I trust Film Threat. They want great entertainment like I do. They were absolutely 100% correct about the Odyssey. And when I went to see it, I was like, oh yeah, everything he said was true. I don't think I disagreed with anything from their out of the theater reaction. Yeah. All right. Okay, so this is we're on a roll here. Let's see how I feel about this when I go see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, here's the reviews. I'm not gonna watch them because I don't want it spoiled. Do not even want it spoiled. I will add them though. They're making. And we'll click save to playlist. I think I've already added Jeremy John. I'm pretty sure I have.
Back in a fourth film, finally. Technically speaking, Toby.
Give it a little
Peter, too,
preview,
was in
preview.
Spider-Man No Way Home, and that was a fourth appearance, but he was still a guest in another Spider-Man's movie, to be honest and fair. But Tom Holland's Spider-Man's back for a brand new day in a brand new day. It is indeed a brand new day, so let's talk about it.
That's how you get. Anyway, we're shifting away from the Odyssey into Spider-Man, but still going to do Spider-Man because we're still going to do the Odyssey because of Tom Holland, Zendaya, and John Bernthal, all that are in Spider-Man, also in Odyssey. And these movies these movies came out back to back. So yeah, out of theater reaction. And just to clarify, an out of theater reaction is simply reacting right after you've seen the movie versus you essentially reviewing it is when you allow it to process. You allow it to process in your mind. Huh. Zach,
Spider-Man Brand New Day may be one of my most anticipated.
I did not
Ding, 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 ding.
I hate it when my goddamn computer does that. I didn't intend to click to click it, man. I need you to act right. I need things to flow, man. It's this lag of this mouse, and I meant to click the little red dots. Save the playlist. Come on with the loading, man. Let's go. I don't care about podcasts right now. This Stuckman review. You know, he's going to be the first to review it along with Jeremy Johns. Oh, open world is new. Yeah, I've had a lot of playlists this time. I kind of want to watch it, but I kind of don't.
From a Spider-Man movie. Okay, I'm a very simple guy. I want a very simple guy. I want a Peter Parker focused story. I want dynamic web swinging, and I want Peter Parker suffering and depressed. That's what I want. That's all I've asked for, okay? Ever since I saw the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, which changed my life, and I can pinpoint exactly where I came from Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 in particular to every...
Okay, that's all we get. That's all we get. So let's move forward with the playlist, I guess, for first reactions, which is their own reactions. They can't really spoil anything. I'm done.
What's up, guys? It is late at night, but I'm going to give you a Spider-Man Brand New Day out of theater reaction. It's 1 in the morning here Eastern time, and that's because the embargo for even social reactions was at a certain time. So yeah, 1 a.m. So you guys are you night owls, you're getting an out of theater reaction. But before I go any further, this is an out of theater reaction. This is not a review, so I can't give you any I guess plot breakdown, spoiler type stuff, obviously. I can just give you my broad overall thoughts about this movie, which is what I'm going to do. And I will say right now, this movie, the trailer, only really scratches the surface as to what the main plot of this movie is. So I'm looking forward to you guys seeing that. Things I really take away from this movie, I like that we have an adult Peter Parker. And I will say you will see more Spider-Man in this movie than you ever have, meaning that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, I'd say, throughout at least like 75% of the movie. This is a Spider-Man movie. This is not a Peter Parker movie. Web slinging through the city of New York. This is something that I have complained about with these Tom Holland movies. Finally, they get it right, and I would even say this is some of the best web slinging work through the city. The scale is there for the city of New York. It looks massive, and the web slinging tricks and stuff that he does, the flips and all that, it's great. It's really, really awesome. This is a fun Spider-Man movie for sure if you're really into like the web slinging. That's one thing that I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 really gets right. As much crap as that movie does get, I do think the web slinging in that movie is fantastic. And I think this movie is up to that level as far as web slinging. So your kids are going to have a lot of fun with this movie for sure. And also, the one big complaint about MJ Zendaya is that she seems to have sort of the same face. I would say, and I'm not trying to get your hopes up too much, but I would say this is the best performance she has given. And meaning that she's got a lot more to do in this movie than I think in any of the other previous Tom Holland movies. I quite liked Zendaya here. So as far as characters, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk about any of the obvious, the stuff that we've seen at the trailers. By the way, I only watched the first trailer. Avoid all other trailers for this movie. I have went out of my way to avoid anything, especially involving the Hulk. I know there were some Hulk trailers out there. I haven't seen them. I don't want to watch them. I loved the Hulk in this movie. I will say that. He looked freaking amazing. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything plot-wise. I think this is a really fun Spider-Man movie. I think you guys are going to have a blast with this. I'm looking forward to diving into the actual review where I can give you a little bit more about the plot, but it will still definitely be spoiler-free. This is a long movie, too. I don't know if it's the longest Spider-Man movie, but it's pretty close for sure. A lot of surprises here, a lot of stuff that you... at least I think haven't seen in the trailers, at least for the first trailer. I was quite surprised by a lot of the stuff that was in this movie, okay? So yeah, I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. Was I surprised as far as like liking a Spider-Man movie? No. I always have a good time with a Spider-Man movie. Even the ones that I bitch about, yeah, this one was really, really well done, for sure. And I'm glad that they got a new director. No no dissing to Tom Watts in the previous movies, but I only liked 1 out of the 3 movies for the previous trilogy. So this one right here, I would put it on par with No Way Home for sure. I think it's at that level. All right. So yeah, that's all you're getting. No more. That's the out of theater reaction for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Looking forward for you guys seeing this movie. Also, be sure to subscribe to Drum Dums Extra. Just dropped another video, Halloween related over there. You definitely want to check that out. Come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day on Fridays. What if you're on Fridays? Follow me Drum Dums and on my socials. Support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching every day. Drum Dum out.
Hey, Dan. I feel like I want to do this. Playlist? We're going to get to Resident Evil in a bit. So,
Guys, I just came out of the cinema from watching Spider-Man Brand New Day.
he's got the cup. I'm getting it.
Okay.
Getting it.
I can't really get into spoilers because there's so many. So this is just some quick thoughts I just got out of the cinema. First of all, I watched in Dolby Atmos 2D. So I'm going to watch it later in 3D. And I'll give you guys my full review after I watch it in 3D. Dolby Atmos. Great choice in terms of sound. I don't know what was going on at the first 5 minutes in terms of the sound. I was really worried because the first 5 minutes I hated the sound mix, but the rest of the movie was fine in terms of the sound mix. It was really good for the rest of the movie. This is the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie ever. Yeah, that's right. For those people who are like, oh my gosh, Spider-Man No Way Home was a masterpiece. If that was a masterpiece, what do you call this? Because the feels, the revelations, the character developments.
Oh my god, it's good.
The action, the cinematography, even the music. I'm sorry, Tom, for ever doubting your acting talents after I just watched the Odyssey because damn, you made me cry. Everyone else, yeah, did a great job. I would say everybody brought their A game in terms of acting. Like, y'all did well. Action, so good. Music, good. All around, good. My favorite Spider-Man movie ever is Spider-Man 2, which is the Tobey Maguire one. Then the one that comes under that would be the first Spider-Man, as in the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I'm going to put this in number 3. That's right. This is my favorite Spider-Man movie that Tom Holland has starred in. For the people who has never seen a Spider-Man movie, you can go in blind, but you just need to make sure you pay attention in terms of plot developments because there will be things that they will say literally in like a line, and that's it. And that kind of explains things because they don't really like overly explain those type of things. So as a standalone movie, it can still work. It is still good. However, it won't hit as hard as the people who has been following this from the start. Like the people that saw the last Spider-Man movie, your feels are about to get all up in here. So much feels. Like, whew. I cried so much. Okay, that's enough of this. Not really a rant, but not really a... It's a reaction. It's a reaction, okay? And until next time, bye guys.
Thank you so much for watching. So you can check out some more videos right now, right there. Do you see them? Also, if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss a single video. Bye.
Hey guys, John here, and I just got out of seeing Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, I am of the mind that the three greatest Spider-Man movies are all Sony produced. So you've got Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, you've got Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. And I still think those are the three best Spider-Man movies. But I've loved all the Tom Holland ones. Spider-Man movies are all Sony produced. So you've got Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, you've got Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. And I still think those are the three best Spider-Man movies. But I've loved all the Tom Holland ones, but this is the best Tom Holland one. I am blown away by this movie. Like, I expected it to be good, and I just was hoping it would be on the level of the other ones. I believe easily this is the best Marvel-produced one yet. It's the most mature, it's the most grown up, it's got definitely more mature themes and all that. The narrative is so tight. It's flawless. The pacing is immaculate. The dialogue is great. The action is fantastic. The deep moments that they hit you with work. You know, Peter's character journey is fantastic. I mean, the villains, the way they integrated Hulk and Punisher and all that stuff were beautifully done. I was so worried they were going to turn Hulk into a jobber for Spider-Man. No worries. It was fantastic the way they did that, and it never felt like it dragged. Like, this is a long movie, and I often come out of these movies, and even ones I like, and go, they could have trimmed it 10 or 15. Not this movie. This movie is the perfect length. It's long, but its pace is continuous. It's got a cadence to it. I am blown away. This is the best comic book movie I've seen in a while. You guys know I love the Thunderbolts more than most people did, but I think this is even better than Thunderbolts. I think this is the best Tom Holland era Spider-Man yet. Destin Daniel Cretton building on the work that John Watts laid down with the previous three films. It's amazing. I loved it. I'm going to watch it again tomorrow, and we'll talk more about it on the John Capia Show tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then.
We just saw Spider-Man Brand New Day, and Austin, did this movie make your spider senses tingle? Down below.
Did I get a Peter tingle? Maybe. A little bit of one. This is a really fun movie, and we'll talk about the story and all of those things, but at the end of the day, you want to be entertained. There's a lot of that happening. Spider-Man heavy entertainment, John.
I was entertained at times, and I will just say it like this. I liked this movie, and at times I really liked this movie, but I didn't love this movie. I think it has some great ideas, but ultimately it has a series of really cool action sequences throughout the film. But in between some of those, I thought it got a little bit repetitive, and my biggest complaint with this film is it has some awesome, cool ideas revolving around Spider-Man and some other characters, but it doesn't fully commit to any of those ideas, and I think that's the biggest detriment of Spider-Man: A Brand New Day.
When a movie struggles to find its focus, oftentimes it can feel like a jumbled experience. And I think it settled in maybe a bit sooner than you did, John, but it did struggle, especially initially. That first 15 minutes, I'm like, we're montaging.
First 30 minutes is complete fan service, montages. You get a lot of characters that you want to see, but they're there, you blink your eyes, they're gone, and you saw most of it in the trailer, so it's really not anything too shocking. But ultimately, what did you love most about this movie?
The look, I mean, the action, the choreography, the suit, it looks real. Sure. It doesn't look like
the choreography,
a video game.
The suits,
it looks real.
Great CGI Spider-Man, and I will say this is my favorite looking Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, and I will say ultimately, as an entire movie, I think this might be my favorite Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, but I will put it like this. I still much prefer the last hour of Spider-Man No Way Home. I know. Hey, listen, that was like complete, that made me shoot my whip. And I'd much rather go back and rewatch that movie on a rainy day with
You're ejaculated?
a bucket of popcorn. I don't know if the rewatchability for this movie is there, though I did like the experience of watching it once.
very fan servicey, but yeah, I'm with you. No Way Home is a really entertaining, good time, especially in that first watch in the theater. This didn't quite have that oomph to it.
No.
But I think it had a little bit of emotional resonance. I thought Peter had layers and depth, and I do think that kind of comes around towards the end. You feel that, John?
And that's why I say it's my favorite Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, because you get the most of the arc.
Yeah.
He's progressing as a young man and as a Spider-Man. But yet again, they tease some really cool ideas, but they just don't fully commit to it. But ultimately, by the end, I feel like it leaves Spider-Man off on a high note.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see what he does next.
The movie struggles, you said the right thing there, it struggles to commit in general.
Yeah.
I think in general, there were some great ideas on display. I think if they would have taken one thing and ran with it, then you would have had like an all-time Spider-Man movie on your hands. Instead, you had a really fun, like great entertaining time, but it kind of falls short because I think it struggles to commit.
Listen, I'll put it like this. I'll wrap up our thoughts right now.
Wrap it up.
The antagonist of this film is something I've been wanting to see for a long time, but I don't feel like it was perfectly executed, and I feel like they could have done a bit more.
Yep.
That or give me a simplified antagonist for Spider-Man to go up against, and this movie doesn't really have that.
I agree.
So it's a good time. I had a good time. I liked the movie. I just didn't love it.
Yeah, I was really entertained, man. I thought it was very well directed, and that's one thing I've been missing from some of these other
It
Tom
has
Holland
contrast,
movies.
it has depth, it doesn't look Marvel-fied, it doesn't have a concrete filter on it. It looks like a real movie with some okay CGI at times, but once again, going back to those practical effects, it looks like a dude in a suit with spandex. You can see Tom Holland's ears. I like those little things. It feels like a real tactile suit that he's wearing. It feels like a dude in the scene.
Yeah, and that's what it almost threw me back to like Christopher Reeve in the Superman suit, like that kind of like, that dude's walking around on the street, and I believe that it's a dude in a suit.
Absolutely.
Like, that's awesome to see with Spider-Man.
So anyway, guys, those are our quick thoughts on Spider-Man. If you like Spider-Man, you won't be disappointed by the movie. I just don't know if it's like my favorite Spider-Man movie. Let me tell you something. I'm John Bertha. I'm a kid. Come on.
Right, Spider-Man Brand New Day. It had its premiere yesterday. We've got our first wave of reviews.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that. So the premiere, I remember I used to live in Los Angeles. I actually lived on Hollywood Boulevard for like 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And I remember my entire time in Los Angeles, California, there were all these, every time I go to Hollywood Boulevard, not every time, but, during the big premieres, there'd be, people in Spider-Man suits, not just cosplayers, but like individuals who, they pose as Spider-Man and you pay them for photos. I did a few like that. There was actually a Captain Jack Sparrow lookalike who I took a photo with him, and a few other ones. There's people that make money on Hollywood Boulevard. How much you would have bet that there were like at least 3 of those on Hollywood Boulevard during this premiere? Because the premiere was at El Capitan Theater. I think it was Monday, the 27th. Yeah. They made a good amount of money. I bet.
Reactions, and they are surprisingly mixed, even though this movie is estimated to have a gigantic opening weekend, astronomically high, $800 million. Opening weekend, $800 million. Global opening weekend. I'll repeat it again. $800 million. That's insane. These movies always do well. Spider-Man movies, right back from Tobey Maguire, have just done very well.
And Spider-Man.
I don't know why. Not that I hate them. I quite like Spider-Man movies, but $800 million opening weekend? That's insane, isn't it? Anyway, we'll get to that, but let's take a look at the reviews first. Because, again, like I said, they're not great. They're not absolutely horrendous, but they're quite mixed. We'll just kind of scroll through them, basically. So you see here, Wendy said, Spider-Man Brand New Day is fantastic. No notes. And by the way, I say mixed, right? It is mixed. So there's lots of positive, and then there's people that are like, meh. I don't know. So yeah, fantastic. No notes. Top tier action. Love how deep the story goes into the consequences of Peter's choice. So that's good. I think that's a good idea. I don't think it should have been, like a one and done type deal with that, story element. And how it affects his life as Peter and as Spider-Man. Definitely some tearjerker moments in there. Felt like a mini Avengers film. Okay, well that's good, isn't it, I guess? Avengers films are, by and large, well loved. Spider-Man Brand New Day is a triumph from Destin Daniel Cretton. Loads of people are going to be like, what are you talking about mixed? Just wait, there are some mixed ones. Bursting with heart, sincerity, hope. A story about the need to be vulnerable and human. To not let the world turn you into a monster. To recognise your pain in an effort to help others feel less alone in theirs. It's about the power and responsibility of being a friendly neighbour. Peter has never been better. The Punisher has never been better. My heart is full. That's good. Very, very good. He did follow up and said thank you, Tom Holland and Destin Daniel Cretton, for making Marvel movies human again. Thank you for making me love Spider-Man again. And this one, so again, mixed. Like I did say, there are mixed ones in there. Spider-Man Brand New Day suffers from the same problem as many post-Endgame movies. It feels like a stepping stone rather than a cohesive standalone film. It's not the most egregious example of this. Peter and Frank are a great duo. Story structure is messy, but it's pretty good. So there you go. I did say there was mixed ones, and there are more. Spider-Man Brand New Day. Folks, Marvel has made a real movie. For the third time since 2018, basically the PS5 games brought to life, an extremely Matrix Reloaded coded complimentary. That's weird. The best of the MCU Spidey films by a mile, and Tom Holland's best effort as Peter Parker. Spider-Man Brand New Day. DDC with one of the best comic book movie directorial outings in recent memory. A film that feels fresh with a distinct style that also acts as a spiritual successor to the Raimi films. Interesting. Arguably the most emotional Spider-Man film to date. He says a little bit more here, so to load that up. It acts as both a payoff to the MCU Spidey journey, whilst also leaving a rich runaway of new storytelling to use with this cast. I'm absolutely blown away. Spider-Man Brand New Day levels up the franchise with lots of surprise and beautiful cinematography. Whilst it falls into some genre tropes, it makes up for it with dimension and fun. Sean Chandler. I follow him on Twitter, so I caught this one earlier. Apparently it's a New York City-centric, more mature Spider-Man movie that he wanted. Spider-Man and Punisher are great together. There's lots of fun twists. It's a little overstuffed, and I think we have a new comic book movie third act trope. Interesting. I'm intrigued to see what that is. I walked out very satisfied. Fans will be happy. And then this one.
Can't be more than 2 stars.
And I got another page all dedicated to these reviews, by the way. Is everything he hoped it would be. A tragic yet poetic odyssey about what it truly means to feel alone, only to realise you may not have to be alone. It's thematically beautiful, while still delivering an endlessly entertaining Spider-Man adventure that never feels overstuffed. Nearly every character serves Peter Parker's journey, making every moment feel purposeful. Tom Holland gives the best performance as Peter, but somehow Sadie Sink might just steal the entire movie. Oh, that was spoiled on the red carpet as well, by the way, her role. Spider-Man Brand New Day has some of the best visuals and characterization its title character has gotten on screen. Yet its notable shine is dulled by an overstuffed script that puts MCU interconnectivity and cameos over its title character. So again, I know loads of people are probably still, hating on me for saying it's mixed, but there are mixed ones. Again, another one. Spider-Man Brand New Day is a mixed bag. It evokes the very best and very worst of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. The first 20 minutes are quintessential comic book Spidey, and do for Spider-Man what the first 20 minutes of Matt Reeves' The Batman did for Batman. The film explores loneliness among young adults with delicacy and emotion, and Tom Holland delivers yet another amazing performance as Peter Parker. Unfortunately, the film mirrors Spider-Man 3 in being overstuffed with far too many elements and having stop-start pacing. The humour doesn't land, in part due to how disappointingly relegated to the background Ned is. Despite a strong turn for Sadie Sink, the third act is hijacked by her character and culminates in a painfully flat climax. Destin Daniel Cretton makes easily the most visually appealing MCU Spidey movie to date, and brings incredible style and intimacy to the filmmaking. There's a lot to love and a lot to be frustrated by with Brand New Day. So very interesting stuff, right? Like, in this review here, you can see a lot of what everyone else had said about the film, but, you know, summing it up in like a pros and cons, I guess. This one here, quite possibly the best Marvel Studios film ever released. That's okay. Absolutely loaded with talent and standout performances from Tom Holland and Zendaya. If you thought the MCU died with Endgame, think again. Thoughtfully crafted and easily a genre-defining classic. The best ever. Okay. Apparently, this individual's crying watching Spider-Man Brand New Day. Massive movie, balances like 5 different through lines in equal measure, each better than the last. It can feel overwhelming, but it all comes together so beautifully it works. So he loved it. Easily the best Spider-Man movie yet. Incredible action, real emotional stakes, huge surprises. Peter and Frank steal every scene together. This is the summer movie of the year. Tom Holland and Sadie Sink are incredible. Again, more people liked it, blah, blah, blah. So they really liked it. But then again, there's some here, again. It's an older Spider-Man movie, gone are the high school days, not just in tone, but in visuals as well. No pop song over the end credits. This is a reserved street-level Spider-Man. Spider-Man Brand New Day starts solid, but then you realise there are still 127 minutes left, more encumbered by the MCU mothership than any entry before. This drags like a sack of the Punisher's balls. Wow. In a lot of ways, this Spidey felt like a monkey's paw, where all of what the other 3 movies were lacking are completely fixed, while new storytelling issues have emerged. You see, I did say it is mixed. It's not universally praised. It doesn't really matter whether it is or it isn't. It's just interesting to pick up on some of these things. Not only my least favourite of the Tom Holland Spidey films, but one of the worst movies of the MCU as a whole. I mean, that's like polar opposite to what the other person said. It's tremendously ugly with atrocious CGI. I can believe that, because CGI is one of Marvel's issues. And unintelligible action and emotional beats are hokey. Big disappointment. It runs a little too long. Juggles several storylines. But it's a fine enough spider adventure. And another one. Everything you could want from a Spider-Man movie. So again, positive. Emotionally meaty, dwelling on loneliness and suppressing what we truly are, with incredible stunts, VFX and colouring. For its first hour, Spider-Man Brand New Day plays a bit too much like past Spidey films. Film gets better as it goes, though, with Tom Holland continuing to demonstrate why he's the definitive Spider-Man. You know what? I mean, it just sounds like you'd either love it or hate it by the sounds of it.
Yep, true.
You know, it's one of those things. I think that it's going to be one of those movies that you're either entertained enough to the point where you overlook its flaws, which clearly, from the sound of it, there are flaws, and you either overlook them or you don't. That's what it sounds like to me. But what do you guys think? Are you keen to watch this? And again, like I said, this movie is estimated to do unbelievable sums of money. Global box office. So Spider-Man Brand New Day has crossed 60 million in domestic pre-sales and surpassed 120 million worldwide. We're in uncharted territory that cinema has only witnessed once with Avengers Endgame. 300 million plus domestic and 800 million global weekend are on the cards. I mean, that would be absolutely unbelievable if that is the case. $800 million worldwide. That'd be crazy, wouldn't it? Spidey fever. Oh, there you go. Interesting stuff. I'll watch this. I'll give you a review of it. Tomorrow might be a little bit busy, so it'll be the next few days. But yeah, I will be watching it and giving you a review. If you're new here and you made it this far, it's the end of the video. So don't forget to hit subscribe, because you obviously enjoyed it. You're here at the end. But thank you so much for watching. Do leave your thoughts down below. Have a great day. Take care.
But the moment you start to use it for about a week,
Ding, 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 film threat. All right. Let's check this out here. They're out of the theater. Reaction for Spider-Man Brand New Day. All right.
At least 485. Wait.
Well, Alan, we just got out of Spider-Man Brand New Day.
They look happier.
Let me start with.
Saw that. Let's keep going. Let me make sure we got it right here. Sure, let's go. Let's go for it. Trying to bang my head, but I can't because it was.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Let's go. Spider-Man Brand New Day is here. We've got lots of news along with our review and an interview today with a filmmaker who made a documentary about Stan Lee. So let's get Alan in here. And where is he? Where is that Alan? Oh God, I just had, he's right here somewhere. There, wait, oh!
I do not usually do these things, Mr. Gore. But I see that you are approaching 169,000 subscribers. And yes, I do respect that. So, okay, here you go. Alan!
Wow, it gets classier and classier each time.
John Malkovich, so many celebs have come out to support you and intro you on the show. Lot going on today, Alan.
Yeah.
We got to get right to it because we got news. We got to go. But couple things. Yes, we are fast approaching 169,000 subs. So please, if you're new to the channel, give us a sub. And Alan, what do we want?
We want 169,000.
That's right. And also support the channel. I just ordered mine. It's our Doomsday t-shirts. Yes, celebrate Dune Part 3 and Avengers Doomsday opening on the same day on December 18th. I have my shirt is en route.
Let's go.
I'll be wearing it on the show in a few days. I'm very excited about that. So there you go. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. Support our work. Let's get to some soups before we start.
All right, from Super Friendaman for $5.99. Alan, Chris, without spoilers, is there a Venom tease in Brand New Day based on how there was a little piece of the symbiote left behind in the bar in No Way Home?
No,
there isn't.
No. So we'll go through some of these. I'll kind of skip some of the Spider-Man.
Yeah. We'll just say the post-ending stuff, nothing to write home about. Super Friendaman for $2.49. Any reference to ex-New York Mayor Wilson Fisk in Brand New Day?
No.
Andrew Cram, gifted 5 Film Therapy memberships. Thank you.
Thank you,
much.
Andrew.
And Super Friendaman also wants to know about Brand New Day for $5.99. Thoughts on Marvin Jones III's performance as Tombstone in Brand New Day. He played another supervillain, Tobias White, in the CW Black Lightning TV series.
Tobias Whale.
He's I would barely, say if you blink, you'll miss the performance.
He's barely in it. I'm sorry to report.
Yeah, but he's in it. Logan Misiak for $5. Chris, why can't we have a Spider-Man film with just Spider-Man? You want to save these for later, or
I'll save some. Yeah.
We're getting pretty specific. Yeah, that one too. That one would be another Spider-Man one. And there you go. That's a Spider-Man one.
Well, just read it.
Okay, $2.49 from Super Friendaman again. Non-spoilers, is Doomsday tease in the Brand New Day impactful?
No, it's more of a multiverse tease.
Mm-hmm. Or Secret Wars, I would say. Super Friendaman for $5.99. I mean, these are all Brand New Day questions. On the nooner, Chris, you asked.
All right.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
I'm trying to start the show.
I know, but you could save the Spider-Man stuff for Spider-Man.
Give me a break, man.
Mr. Young Sharky for 199. He was super chat. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
How many gems is that, people?
Well,
yeah,
this is
DAH person for 10 jewels. Happy poop.
Happy poop.
Happy poop.
Happy poop. And a couple things here.
Christopher Nolan Productions. I remember him. Listing on the drive home, Comic-Con was a success, and Escape from Planet Omega 12 may have an amazing voice actress announcement soon.
We'll do a trailer reaction when we have the trailer up on our trailers channel. Thank you, Chris. It was a blast. That was a blast, but also a lot of things went sideways. Not due to us, just, issues.
Lord Thoth, like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, sign up as a member, join us on X, Discord, Rumble, and Instagram, buy our merch, https://shop.com /happy face hand.
What are you doing? All right, we're gonna save your super chats related to Spider-Man Brand New Day for when we do our review in about the next 20 minutes or so. But we do have some news stories. Can Marvel get its groove back? Alan and I watched the entire Hall H panel of Marvel, and we were underwhelmed. We saw there was a preview of Avengers Doomsday, got a little tease for a Brand New Day, and they announced 2 new films, Ghost Rider with Ryan Gosling and Black Panther 3, and they introduced the new Black Panther. But from the wrap, here is this story. Alan, you have notes?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Marvel used its Hall H presentation at San Diego Comic-Con to make a case that the studio is ready for a comeback after a disappointing 2025, and 2024, and 2023, and 2022. Rather than leaning entirely on Avengers Doomsday, Marvel unveiled a new direction centered on standalone heroes, announcing Ghost Rider starring Ryan Gosling, Black Panther 3 with David Johnson as the new Black Panther. The shift signals a return to the character-driven storytelling that helped make the Marvel Cinematic Universe a global phenomenon. Marvel's recovery will depend on refocusing on quality over quantity. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige admitted the studio has been stretched too thin and confirmed that only one Marvel film is scheduled for 2027, allowing more time to develop each project. Combined with strong early reactions to Spider-Man Brand New Day and positive reception for Avengers Doomsday footage at Comic-Con, the studio appears to be rebuilding momentum. While Marvel still faces major tests at the box office, changing audience tastes, the company is returning to the formula that made it Hollywood's most successful franchise.
Well, one thing you can observe just by what we were shown is that they have dialed back. What we saw at Comic-Con was an announcement of 2 new movies, and then everything else was movies we already were aware were coming out. They clearly are pulling back on their slate, and that's a valid question to ask. Can Marvel get its groove back? I just don't think... I think event movies in the Marvel Universe will do well. Avengers movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you scale the budget to smaller, something like Ghost Rider can do well. But I really don't care about a 3rd Black Panther movie when, Chadwick Boseman is not in it. I really feel they should have recast. They should have recast the Black Panther and not have his sister replace him for a movie. Just don't agree with that decision. And then Ghost Rider is really a remake of a Nick Cage movie that they've already made. It's like a reboot of Ghost Rider. Not exciting. I think a lot of people have called it out. And I think really you're looking at, Marvel can't just decide to make a movie. They need funds approved from the parent company, i.e. Disney, So, I think you're going to see them taking fewer risks. And what we saw with Ghost Rider and with Black Panther 3, very safe choices that if the budget is scaled to reasonable amount, those will probably do well. Those will do well. What are your thoughts, Alan?
My thoughts is I think Marvel Studios leadership doesn't know what they're doing. I don't think they know. I know talking about Kevin Feige.
Yeah,
I don't think he has an idea of what's coming out really after Secret Wars. The sense I get with the two announcements, first of all, with Ghost Rider, it's like when Ryan Gosling walked into Kathleen Kennedy's office and said, "Hey, I have an idea for Star Wars," and she says, "Great, please do it, please." And I get the same thing that happened here. He walks into Kevin Feige's office and says, "Hey, I've always wanted to play Ghost Rider. In fact, I did a whole podcast talking about wanting to do it." And Kevin Feige says, "Yes, please. Can you do it, please?" That's not Kevin Feige putting Ghost Rider out there. That's Ryan Gosling putting Ghost Rider out there. And maybe, look, regarding Black Panther, they come in threes. And Black Panther is due for a third, and Ryan Coogler is due for a third. And so that seems like a no-brainer at that point. Okay, I'm exhausted. I don't know what to do past Secret Wars. Yeah, just do Black Panther 3.
Those are safe choices. Those are safe choices.
Yeah, because it requires no thought on Kevin Feige's part. If someone came to him, said, "I want to do this," and he says, "Yes, I'll greenlight it." Because what really should have happened at that panel was an X-Men announcement.
Well,
at
Alan,
least something that says, "Hey, 2029."
Wait, I not to cut you off real quick, but I just noticed. Could you show us your entire shirt that you're wearing?
Yeah.
Is that for sale in the Film Thread shop?
I don't believe it is. This is they're out of stock. This is a collector's item.
Are we, Lori? Are we really out of that shirt? Let's get that shirt back in the shop. Alan, model it properly.
Yeah,
you got to stand up a bit. There you go. Okay. That phrase almost got me canceled. Well, speaking of Kevin Feige, he has been criticized for not building up Dr. Doom's entree into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Here he is at San Diego Comic-Con. We have him addressing that issue and kind of correcting the record, at least from the way he sees it. Let's see what Kevin has to say and talk about it on the back end.
Thanos. Yeah. What makes you confident that when we see Doomsday, you're going to say, "Look, we this is all we needed to give you this story," and go on to Secret, but in Doomsday itself?
I'm never confident about anything. I just work hard to try to deliver. But I will say, I do think, I was just saying to somebody else, that the Thanos buildup has built up in people's heads over the years.
I have to admit
he sat on a chair at the end. He pulled the gauntlet out and said, "I'll do it myself." Yep. And he yelled at Ronan on a video screen briefly. Sure did. And that was kind of it. And I remember the memes making fun of Thanos for just sitting in a chair, and all he does is sit on a chair. And there was a Twitter feed at the time about him updating every day, updating. "I'm still sitting in my chair. I'm still sitting." It was more clever than that, but it was funny. And when we got to Infinity War, we said, this is really the introduction of Thanos to people. That's really what we're doing. That's how that movie was built. Yeah. That's what we're doing with Doom. That is the Doomsday is
very true.
Is a introduction and the story of Doom. You peel the onion, you learn things about him as you go, and it is very much meant for audiences that know and love him from the comics, and audiences who have no clue who he is yet.
Man, I cannot wait to see this. My last question for you. Everything you just gave us in Hall H was incredible. I don't know if you know this. There's a kind of a meme that goes around on Twitter.
It's from the Brandon Davis show, just so you know.
So
shout out to him. He's got these are interviews are done either pre or post events. It's not quite a red carpet per se, but you see the branding of Comic-Con in the background, and certain people get access to ask questions.
Yeah.
You have to be vetted to do this. So they obviously didn't let Alan nor myself do this, but that's okay. We didn't push. It's all good. It's all good.
Yes, because this guy looks like he plays softball.
What are you talking about?
where you say it's never enough for Brandon because I asked you about something else at Spider-Man. So I do have one question for you about a character I love.
Is it Nova?
You knew that.
It's Nova.
What's the latest? I saw that now it might be a movie instead of a TV show that's being developed.
I don't know what.
Let's talk about TV for a sec. Alan, you will be at D23. Is that right?
I've not gotten confirmation yet, but
Okay, but you've been
I did
there.
apply. I did apply for.
You did apply. You have gotten press credentials. If D23 happens, you've got to do major reports from there.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I
Now-
won't be at the hall. I won't be at the big panels because they'll be broadcast on the internet.
They're not broadcast.
They were last time.
You
They
got to
did
be
all of them. They did all
Oh,
of them.
let's just hear his last statement here, and then we'll talk about it.
So what have we officially said about Nova? Anything?
Not a damn thing.
Not a damn thing. But it's a movie.
Okay. I can't hope to see it. But man, congrats. I cannot wait to see everything you guys just did in there.
All right. So that's a Nova movie. Can I just say that's not going to happen?
Yeah.
He's just playing to the crowd, and that's fine.
That's like doing a Shang-Chi movie.
What do you think about that? Now, look, Thanos did have a build-up because it was something, the post-credit scenes, the cameo in Guardians, there was a build-up that this is coming. Something is coming, right? And then in Infinity War, when we got Thanos' backstory and his pursuit of the stones, like it was leading to something.
Yeah, when he shows up on Thor's ship,
yes,
with Loki in his grass.
Yeah,
I mean that there was a major impact at that point, and we all knew who that was.
Okay, so what do you think of his response to this? I'm not going to say anything. I'll say what. I'm gonna wait till,
you said that twice. You said that twice. What do you think about this?
I'll wait till
You're
after.
about
I'll wait
to talk about it again.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you. So Kevin Feige sounds like a person, and I know this person very well, who speaks and says whatever he needs to say on a question he wasn't prepared for, because that's me every week on this show. Let's say he fully meant everything he just said there. What that tells me is he has no grasp of his audience. He has no clue who his audience is. If you get this idea that the buildup to Doctor Doom is exactly like the buildup to Thanos, you need to retire. You seriously do, because as you say, there was a buildup for Thanos. He appeared somewhat in Guardians, in Guardians with Ronan, and then you had the Infinity Stones saga, where every movie up until that point dealt with one of the stones for the most part, and this was a story that, it was this idea that people knew because it was in the comics. It was such a big thing, and that the Infinity Gauntlet was something even the most even a person who's never read the comics kind of.
They were called Infinity Gems, 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 not stones, in the comic books. But in the movies, of course, they call them stones.
Got the idea of what the Infinity Gauntlet was and its power. Doctor Doom, I mean, quite frankly, you didn't even know Doctor Doom was going to be in the movie until Robert Downey Jr. showed up saying he was going to be Doctor Doom. You didn't see Doctor Doom until Fantastic Four at the very end, and no one mentioned Doctor Doom at all from Endgame to this point until Robert Downey Jr. appeared at the end of Fantastic Four. There is zero build-up for Doctor Doom. The biggest mistake, though, was the Kang story, the multiverse, because you locked yourself into this multiverse Kang thing, and then when Kang dropped out, it made the multiverse thing even worse. And I think one of the main reasons all the Marvel movies at that point, except for Spider-Man, failed was because it had to follow this multiverse pattern. And quite frankly, I hated the multiverse in Infinity or in Endgame. I've always hated multiverse movies and storylines. It's this multiverse storyline that got me to never read a Marvel comic ever again.
Can we just stop with this multiverse shit? I'm sick of this multiverse shit. I gotta say it.
And I don't know, that whole statement Kevin Feige just brought there is just telling me he needs to retire.
Well, let me jump in and say what you just pointed out. There was a build up to Kang. Remember?
Thanos.
No. There was
okay,
a build up to Thanos. They were building up Kang.
Right.
And then they saw how terrible the character was and used Jonathan Majors' personal issues
to fire him.
Legal issues to fire him. But they were building up Kang in, Loki season 1 and 2. They were building up Kang, in the Ant-Man movie. Like they were building up to that. So he's backpedaling on Doom. Will audiences really? Who's this Doom guy? I don't know about that, but we are apparently going to see the trailer that was shown at Comic-Con in San Diego. Will be shown before Spider-Man Brand New Day. The one that they debuted, that new trailer.
Right. That's great.
That's very Doom, centric. They're showing that before.
With the accent.
Right. Only before Spider-Man Brand New Day. So we'll get a look. Is it going to be a big enough build-up? We shall see.
It will. I mean, look, if the Odyssey can make a crap ton of money on a bad movie, I believe Avengers Doomsday can do the same
It's a
thing.
good movie, not a bad movie.
Anthony Mackie as the Falcon is one of my favorite characters. As Captain America, he never even took the super serum, right? So he's just a normal guy with Wakanda tech suit, adamantium. He's got Cap's shield, and he's basically Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that suit looks ridiculous. It just doesn't look great on him. But I'm a fan of the actor Anthony Mackie. I think he is genuine. I think he cares. I think he's very common sense. But he says Chris Evans return as Steve Rogers. He's returning as Steve Rogers, not as Captain America. Here is something again from Comic-Con on a little red carpet here. Let's look at this short clip and see what he has to say, because I have a response to this.
Okay.
Steve Rogers is returning, not Captain America.
No, Steve Rogers in the comic book. There is a comic book. You say you're a nerd, read the comic book. Don't be a nerd by trade, be a nerd by fact, right? So in the comic book, Steve Rogers becomes Nomad.
Maybe that will happen.
I don't know.
Maybe it won't. We will see.
I don't even watch movies.
Steve Rogers is returning.
Okay, let me just say this. That's lame. I don't care about I care about as much as Steve Rogers being Nomad as I do about Dick Grayson being Nightwing. When a superhero character goes, you know what? I built my entire rep on this, being this hero called this Captain America. No. I'm getting a new costume and a new name. Well, it's not like you're changing jobs. That name is your identity. And I've always found it lame, incredibly lame, when superheroes, now it does sell comics. It's great for comics. What do you mean this new outfit like the X-Men, when they had the first 100 issues of the X-Men, they got about halfway and they're like, we'll give them individual costumes. Make it more fun with Cyclops and Jean Grey and, Beast and all that. Like, now they get their new custom costumes. A costume change is fine a costume and name change is fine for the comics. No one is going to see the Nomad movie with Steve Rogers, which apparently was pitched to Chris Evans. We want to bring your character back, not as Captain America, but as Nomad. My prediction, Steve Rogers will be Nomad in Secret Wars. I've never liked this. Anthony Mackie's not wrong, but just because it was in the comics doesn't make it a good idea. Do you know how many dumb ideas are in comics? incredibly stupid, dumb ideas that are in the comics? Like, we could spend hours. That doesn't mean it would be good in the movies. Alan, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. Look, if I understand it correctly, let's see. Sam Wilson becomes Captain America during the original Sin storyline. I don't know if you've read that one.
Yeah,
but
no, I haven't.
Oh no, it was what happened was something happened to the super serum in Steve Rogers that went away and made him very old. And so Steve Rogers was so old he could no longer be Captain America, and so they had to get a new one, and that's Sam Wilson, which occurred maybe less than 10 years ago. Look, just because it's in the as you say, just because it's in the comic books doesn't mean you can do it. And sometimes I feel like they write storylines into the comic books so they can make a movie based on it. And I feel like that's what happened with Sam Wilson. Bucky Barnes could have easily become the new Captain America after Winter Soldier. But what was the other example? Like the Marvels and all that stuff, that was all written afterwards. And Shang-Chi was in the comics, I believe in the 70s, mid 70s. And then they brought him back. Why? So they can make a movie out of him. And that's essentially, I think, Shang-Chi's return to the Marvel comics. So to dispel this myth of it was in the comics, come on, you nerds, geeks. The question always becomes, well, who wrote it and how popular was it? And I can tell you that Falcon becoming Captain America came pretty recently and wasn't that popular. So I think the biggest point is you can play around with minor characters and do stuff like this, but we're talking about Captain America. That's why Miles Morales is Miles Morales and not Spider-Man, because we have a Spider-Man. It's Peter Parker. There's one Hulk.
True.
Boy, Alan,
Very
that's
true.
a mic drop. Let's go to comments here.
Yeah, CC Black for 2. Steve Rogers was Nomad in Infinity War.
Is that right? What is right?
Look, he was undercover. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
He was undercover.
Because there was a civil war and there was a warrant out for his arrest.
Yeah. Did he ever say, "I'm Nomad"?
Yeah, he never said it.
He never said that. So, so he might be maybe with the costume. He never said, "I'm Nomad."
But I just found it interesting because I do have the issue where Sam Wilson shows up as Captain America. And it definitely felt like that it was done to give an excuse to do that in the movie in some future point. John Lang, Mayor for 48 Months, public service announcement. Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair, is out now on 4K Blu-ray.
Oh, that's awesome. And CC Black, 1987 for 2 says, Bucky killed hundreds of people. Can't be Cap. He also goes on to say, thank you, Thanos had 3 minutes of screen time total before Infinity War. You can say the Stones was a main story throughout the Infinity Saga, not Thanos. Oh, that's a very good argument. He goes on to say for 2, rumor is X-Men casting at D23. Alan will get the scoop. And CC Black goes on to say for 2, we all know the Mutant Saga is after Secret Wars. Is that true? Yeah, that sounds good. Why don't you read this one, Alan?
Jay by the SF Bay for 20. Great meeting you, Chris and Alan, at the San Diego Comic-Con booth. I knew Hall Hell would be a cluster F, but Ballroom 20 was great. The Aliens panel was amazing. The best sequel ever, in my opinion. The thoughts on Aliens standing in the movie Pantheon.
Well, I love Aliens. It's one of those things where how do you make a sequel to what might be a perfect film, Alien? And it's toe in toe with movies like The Empire Strikes Back and Godfather 2. So it is one of the best. Like, if there's a list, you can't make a top 10 list of the best sequels ever made. It might be a top 5. It's in the top 5. I mean, it's goated for that reason, because the original was so unique, so amazing. So, that's my thought. I wish I went to that panel. A friend of mine arranged that panel, the Aliens panel. I hope it turns up on YouTube, at some point. Thank you. Very generous for 20. A few more here, non-Spider-Man related ones, and thank you.
Yeah, Spooky Malibu for 5. I agree with Alan. Amadeus Cho is the only Hulk. I agree with you.
Thanks, Spooky. That's funny.
Who doesn't remember Amadeus Cho?
Yeah.
You know, from that one issue I bought. Not another name for 2. I just want Backrooms 2.
That's coming. Hey, Oliver!
1999. It was
You
great.
can see Oliver is in the Indie Filmmaker Survival Guide panel. He asks a question.
Yes, in his accent. It was great seeing you guys at Comic-Con on Friday. Would have popped by on Saturday, but ended up in line for 13 hours for a wristband that allowed me to look at the entrance of Hall H. I'm not in love with Marvel.
Oh, that happened to you, Oliver? Like, we were going down the line and we're like, this is kind of crazy. Never seen this before. Wild. I'm sorry about that, Oliver. Next time, let's do the Marriott Pool again. Marriott Pool Bar. We have to coordinate. I didn't get to stay at a hotel that was convenient to that, but I hope we see you next year. And thank you again.
Leif Erikson for 10 jewels, gold coin.
Oh, thanks for 10.
John Hu gifted 5 Film Threat memberships.
Thank you, Sean.
Mr. Young Sharky for $4.99. I have a theory I don't like. Yes, Ghost Rider is a safe film to make, but it means Mephisto will be in it, which most likely means Ironheart will be in it.
Ooh, that sounds freaking terrible.
Yeah. I like the idea that they are not tied to that they're not stuck with Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto.
We'll see. 2 more, and then we'll do our review.
Film Threat. One Punch fan over on Rumble for 3. Sing it, Alan. Hashtag Save Stargate. Save Stargate. Save. Okay. One Punch fan for 3. Alan was right about the Nolan C-Tax.
Nolan C-Tax?
Yeah. I didn't realize there was a tax.
All right. It's time for our Spider-Man Brand New Day review. Let me start that again.
One moment.
Dude, I'm tired. I had Gary say, hey, can you do the... You never know what's going to happen with Gary.
Oh, yeah, you guys did it early this morning.
Why did we do that? Hey, it's time for our review of Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Where's 100?
Alan, you and I both saw Spider-Man Brand New Day, gave you our out of the theater reaction, and quick reminder to please sub to the channel if you have not already. Give this video a like. Alan, let's now give our thoughts, and we will be non-spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do a separate spoiler review after the movie has opened, and we will go deep into the spoilers. So let's give now our expanded thoughts. Why don't you start?
When I start, I gave it a 7 out of 10, and I mentioned that up front because I want to compare it to the Odyssey for a moment. Shows you the difference, because essentially they're the same type of movie in terms of my feelings about it. Both, Spider-Man's over 2.5 hours. Odyssey is just under 3. There were things that they both suffer from. But there were things that that happened in Spider-Man Brand New Day that pushed it into the recommend way further than the Odyssey was. The first is the opening. The opening sets the tone. This is a Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man does Spider-Man things in this movie. He's on the streets of New York. He's fighting crime. He's defeating the bad guys. You get these amazing action sequences, which only progress better and better as the movie goes on. You just get this sense of that this is Peter Parker, this is Spider-Man. I'm watching the Spider-Man that I read in the comics, and I imagine that this is what it would look like as I was reading the comics. And yes, there is the story of the fact that his true love and his best friend don't know who he is. And quite frankly, I find that a compelling story. Most people don't, but I do.
You're working with an actual desktop.
So it starts off with a bang. I'm connected. Odyssey, it started off, I couldn't understand a thing people were saying. The storylines were just kind of cut together too fast. And right off the bat,
fucking
with
name
Odyssey,
it. It's
I was
like,
bored out of my
Tekken.
mind. It was just really hard to get into it. But here, I was like, yeah, let's do this. It's a Spider-Man movie. And then, you know,
Look,
as
it's
this
not
goes
with the suit,
along,
my friend. It's not with
I
the
was
suit
really
from
fighting between, wow, I really like this.
You see,
And I'm
once
like,
again,
oh,
I thought
I'm
that
really
movie
not
was
sure
not
about
gonna-
this.
what's a
And now that I had a chance to think about it,
I like that one.
Spider-Man Brand
Storyline I
New
like.
Day is a Gen Z movie. The storyline
The
is
entire
very Gen
Spider-Man-
Z. It's the whole, you know, will MJ ever remember who I am? Will we ever fall in love again? That's a very classic love story trope, and it's a love story that's handled because all the characters in it are Gen Z. They're very young, and so I can
All
admit
of
at
Tom
that
Holland's
point
Spider-Man
that
films are
okay,
Gen
maybe I'm
Z.
a little too old for this emotional story, but I get it, and I think it was handled well. So I think that will be a big point of contention for us older viewers compared to younger viewers. The other thing, I really did like this movie, but it is that second half. Sorry, the second movie that occurs. There was a reveal of a character which I won't mention, even though you guys talked about it on the Nooner. But it was like,
no.
if you're gonna
No.
bring an iconic character, this iconic character into the Spider-Man universe or the MCU for that matter, you should tell that character's story and not just create a character, call it that
Sometimes,
person,
but
and then
really,
create a whole
not
brand new
outcome,
story.
you know, or
If
you
this
like, you
person
customize
was
it and
named
all
something
that,
else, like
I just wanna be able to see
Schmachel
it.
Schmummers,
You can have a wheel,
you know, I would, you know, okay, I would buy the story that's being told about that, but when it's given the real person, and me knowing that real person, and me knowing the story and the origins and the life of that real person, and then to put it in a story that has nothing to do with that comic book character, that's where I really had the problem with. And it was all a matter of you should just change the name. Should just change the name and I'd be fine with it. And then the last thing I'll say about it is the third negative thing is pacing. It's fast action, Gen Z drama, fast action, Gen Z drama. And so I think I found it to be a very
Wait, is
good
this a
movie.
review?
I think it's
Okay. I mean, let me get out of this then. Where are we? 36:19.
Reactions to Spider-Man Brand New Day. They came out yesterday, and we have a story here from we have it from, I believe it's Variety, did a roundup. Let's go through some of these first reactions. Tom Holland has never been better. I would agree with that. He is better in this movie than all the other three. He's really good.
For No Way Home. You thought he was better than No Way Home?
Better in a sequel that ditches multiverse tedium and delivers a grounded Superman tale. And this image, which is actually in the film, is recreating the cover of Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yeah, that was a that was
I
one of
love
the better
that.
covers.
I love that. Alan,
The
you want to
Ninja one
read
was
this?
awesome. Yeah.
Let's read through these.
Spider-Man Brand New Day. Here, let me make it larger for me. Spider-Man Brand New Day has finally been unveiled to members of the film press, who are calling the fourth standalone movie a grounded Spider-Man tale that is thrilling, heartfelt, and confidently character-driven. Eric Davis, glowing praise, feels deeper, more thoughtful, and more mature than the previous trilogy. That maturity extends beyond the story to the action, with Cretton crafting some of my favorite Spider-Man fight sequences of the Holland era. Part detective story, part psychological thriller, part buddy comedy. It stretches in exciting new directions before becoming a genuine love letter to the fans. When you see it, you'll get it.
Makes sense. Let's keep going.
Not sure about the detective story part. Critic Wendy Lee Sazzy She says no notes for Brand New Day. She delivered top tier action and a few tear jerker moments.
No notes.
No notes.
I just loved everything you did, and you can just keep doing that.
All right, Brandon Pope
That's not a critic.
Yeah. Oh, Brandon Pope. Wasn't he the guy who interviewed Kevin Feige? He wrote on X, maybe the most Marvel movie I've ever marveled. Oh my God. Destin Daniel Cretton honors beloved Spider-Man media, including especially Raimi, to create some soulful, thrilling Hulk Punisher delivers, big reveal lineup. The best Tom Holland Spidey series. Yeah, you forgot No Way Home.
That's an observation I will agree with. I think Tom Holland is the best. It's the best performance of all the movies.
Yeah, and if I had an opportunity to interview Kevin Feige, I probably would have said the same thing. Film critic Peter Howell likewise adored the Marvel sequel. He wrote on X, Brand New Day cut back on the multiverse tedium that gives a grounded Spider-Man tale that's back to the city roots of the comic book hero we knew and loved. Yeah, I do love the fact that it wasn't multiverse. Tom Holland finally nails the sarcasm, angst, and love hassles of Spidey Peter Parker as Stanley first envisioned the character. Hal added, the film negotiates the emotional landmines left by Spider-Man No Way Home. 5 years ago, while seriously scary villain emerges in the person of a malevolent telepath, solid support from Zendaya, Battleon, Bernthal, Ruffalo, and Sadie Sink.
Nice. Let's keep going.
Yeah, who is that Sadie Sink character? Nexus Point staffer Kevin Verma. Spider-Man Brand New Day is exactly the refresher Marvel needed. Tom Holland has never been better, and the Spidey Punisher pairing is pure gold. Destin Daniel Cretton outdoes himself, but the script is the real hero, thrilling, heartfelt, and confidently character-driven.
Yeah, there's like a consensus with all of this, but not a single one of these addresses any critique. Zero.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's social reactions, but there is this sense of recency bias. Because how can you not compare this to No Way Home? To the emotion that you felt.
I like No Way Home better. I like it better.
Well, there's an emotional impact that No Way Home has that is not in this movie.
Yeah.
And to say that this is better than that is like saying the Odyssey is better than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's keep going, Alan.
That's just a plot paragraph.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Let me scroll. Sorry about that.
Expectations. Okay, so this is box office expectations.
We've got there we go.
Oh, what's been really fun about the most recent movie is designing the suit and being part of that process, understanding what we wanted and try to achieve. Holland told LAD Bible.
We don't need to.
Yeah,
we don't need to. Look, the reactions are over the moon positive, and all the positive things they point out, I agree with. Not one critique, not one real critique.
Yeah.
So make of that what you will.
I mean, look, this is the way I feel about influencer reviews. It really is all about the flashing images that were flashed in front of you. Were there exciting action scenes? Yes. And that's all we remember. I remember, it's this roller coaster ride. But none of them really gets any deeper than that. It becomes very shallow at this point.
Let's get to this. Our friend Joseph Kahn, who we hung out with at San Diego Comic-Con, he was on our Indie Filmmaker Survival Guide panel, which you can see on the channel here. Make sure you watch that panel, which was great. Alan was on the panel.
Mm-hmm.
A last minute edition. But Joseph wrote a guest op-ed for The Hollywood Reporter called Bring Back the Hollywood Asshole. And this story is a mic drop. Effectively, you've got notes, right, Alan? Yeah. But before you do that, this is something Hollywood needs to hear. It's the reason why Spider-Man Brand New Day is not a better movie, because there was not an a-hole there to say, hey, don't do that. Hey, cut that out. no, we're not going to have that scene with this. You've got a bunch of people, you've got this sort of consensus weighing everyone's opinion, and not someone just say, nah, we're not doing that. And my experience of people in Hollywood is they care more about how others perceive them and how they look to others rather than actually doing the work, which is you got to make a great movie that makes a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And you've got to make a movie that entertains, and you got to cut the fat. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm get to what you've got notes for the story, Alan. Give it to me.
Okay, so this is from the voice of Joseph Kahn. Hollywood lost its way when studio executives stopped thinking like business people and started thinking like artists. Reflecting on my meetings with modern executives, I say they no longer resemble the bold, intimidating studio chiefs of the past. Instead, present themselves as casual creatives. That shift symbolizes a deeper problem. Executives are more interested in fitting in with the artist than doing the job of making profitable movies. The industry's priorities changed dramatically after COVID accelerated the shift to streaming. With success measured by subscriber growth and engagement instead of box office receipts, studios became less focused on making blockbuster hits and more concerned with satisfying algorithms, investors, and cultural trends. This gave rise to the executive artists, leaders who greenlit projects based on personal values, social messaging, rather than broad audience appeal. I cite Marvel's recent struggle as evidence, the audience that rejected this approach. Hollywood needs to abandon the executive artist mindset and return to executives who prioritize commercial success above all else. Rather than trying to be creators themselves, studio leaders should focus on making movies that audiences actually want to see, embracing the profit-driven mentality that once made Hollywood and franchises like Marvel enormously successful.
Yeah, I mean, having spent time with Joseph, we've interviewed him a couple times. We hung out with him at Comic-Con and we're on that panel. He's not politically one way or another. He's just like, you just gotta, what does the audience want? They don't want all this nonsense. They do not want it. And you need someone to be kind of an a-hole to, make decisions that may not be popular in the room, but when the movie finally comes out, it won't be a compromised mess, which I will say that the failings of Spider-Man Brand New Day are specifically because no one wanted to be an asshole and said, cut that character, cut that unnecessary scene, cut that line, focus this film on one thing. And so this is why so many movies are 2:20 or 2.5 hours, because no one wanted to be an a-hole and say, cut that unnecessary character. Alan, your thoughts on this?
I mentioned this a long time ago, but what is the difference between Walt Disney and Bob Iger? The difference is Walt Disney struggled his entire career as the president and CEO of Disney. He was constantly facing bankruptcy from one movie to the next. He understood that if he put out a bad movie, he was in serious financial trouble. And the studio almost went bankrupt several times because he didn't make the right decision and the movie failed. The problem with Bob Iger is he has too much money to fail. He's too big to fail. And so the idea of losing $100 million, losing $500 million, not a big deal. And that's the big reason that's the point, is that they are not motivated by success anymore. They're motivated by not being controversial, which is why you had all these studios started putting out, the DEI stuff, because people will accept it, or it's worth the investment, or it's worth the loss. To Joseph's point, he's absolutely spot on. You need to be motivated by profit to make great stuff. I'll make one final example. This was Michael Eisner. If you read his book, he took over Paramount. He became its CEO, and realized we need to make movies that people want to see. And so they just had a board meeting. What are people interested in? And they started brainstorming, putting up, Cop, in Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills Cop comes out of it. And then he brought that mentality with him to Disney, and revolutionized the animation department. The animation renaissance came from Michael Eisner when he took over Disney. Where are these people again? Now it just feels like CEOs, all of them, are protecting their stock prices, their stock values, rather than doing what they're meant to do, and that's entertain the masses, the people who spend the money to watch these movies. So what the hell happened, Christopher Nolan?
Quick thing here. Bruce Campbell was on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. In one of the best interviews I've ever seen, he talks about his cancer diagnosis and dealing with that. We'll talk about that later. But after watching this interview, I mean, I loved Bruce Campbell before. He is amazing. He's so honest, doesn't really care. He's promoting a new indie movie. In fact, guess what? We're going to get him on the show. We are getting Bruce Campbell live on Film Threat. It'll be probably end of
when the movie
August.
comes out. Yeah.
When the movie comes out, end of August, early September, we'll get him here for an extended interview and Q&A on Hollywood on the Rocks. But check this out. He talks about the Hollywood studio system. And let's just hear what he has to say.
Without cell service for, I don't know, 20 years out in the middle of nowhere. Then I went, I got to reconnect with all my friends in Los Angeles. Moved back there for a year, ran away with my hair on fire screaming. I tried to live in suburban San Francisco. My daughter lives up there. Same thing after a year, screaming. How many times can a guy light his hair on fire? Not that many. So I bailed. We came back to our little town that I had grown annoyed with, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's right. I'm not annoyed anymore. This is charming.
We talk about Hollywood and all this. And I remember, I always bring it up, but we had like a conversation. It's like, the acts of life, the first, second, and third act.
Yeah.
And
oh, yeah.
in your third act, you decided, fuck it. I'm going to write, produce, and direct my own movie.
Yeah, because I was bitching about it a lot. And my dad used to complain about his job as an ad guy. And I was like, Dad, either stop complaining or quit. You got to do one or the other. And I think my wife was there with me. Either let's make this movie or shut the hell up about it. And so I give my wife Ida a lot of credit. She let us pull the trigger and make a movie so that I could make one movie at one point in my life since Evil Dead, because it's the only other movie that we had full creative control over, was the very first Evil Dead. Since then, it's always been partnering, getting studio money. You have to play their game and all that. So this was a long time in the making of being able to just make a project that does not have any participation in anyone other than who I either hire or want to work with.
Yeah.
Nobody is foisted upon me, because what happens, obviously, when you make a movie, let's say for Paramount, they've been making movies for a long time. They think they know how to make movies the best way. And so they tell you how to make movies the Paramount way, because it's their money. And so no filmmaker should really complain about how Universal treats them, or Paramount, or, Sony, whatever, because they each have their way of making movies, and they don't want to be told what to do. And because they're giving you the money, they want to protect their money. So they're going to protect it by, assigning you a Schmendrick. Gummo Schmendrick is your guy. So he's going to be there. Hi, how are you? How's it going? And they don't really know what to say or participate in, but they are the ears and eyes for that production.
And it's based on fear. They're usually just trying to cover their ass.
It's all fear-based.
Yeah.
It's all fear-based. Will the production get away from them? Will this director listen to what they're saying? Will the writer take the notes Now I have a dear friend, and this is what urges me to do this. A dear friend of mine has Final Cut on motion pictures.
I think I know who this friend is.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
About 10 or so directors, maybe 20 have Final Cut. Not many.
Right.
And Final Cut meaning you turn your movie in and they give you notes and you go, no, I have Final Cut. The dog dies. This is how it's going to be. That's my ending. So my dear friend who has Final Cut would submit his movie to the studio and they would have 50 editing notes. And he'd go through them very patiently, and he'd say to them, guys, I went through your notes. You know what? You guys had like 10 solid notes. Did them. Right. About 20 of them I'm not too sure about, so I'm going to have to wait on that. And the rest, I honestly I can't agree with. So I did 10 of your notes, 10 of your changes. So here you go. Here's the newest version. Oh, Sam, excuse me, whatever your name is. Hey, I knew he'd give it away. Great. Those were great. Our notes were great. The changes you made from our notes were great. How about the other 40? Well, I told you that, some were okay. I wanted to wait, and some we couldn't make them work.
Some might call Sam an asshole for doing that. This interview is fantastic. Strongly recommend it. We will talk to Bruce directly ourselves when he's here in about a month or so. So can't wait to talk to him. I've interviewed him several times. He may or may not remember me.
He probably doesn't.
He might from Michigan. He'll remember. We'll talk to them then. Hey, we have John Bolerjack waiting in our digital green room. We've got some comments. We're going to go to those. Then we'll get to our interview today with John. Talk about his documentary about Stan Lee. Thank you, John. I see you. Wave to me. Okay, great. Okay, gonna go through some comments here and we'll talk. Let's go.
Zachary Schmidt for $4.99. Spider-Man is always at his best, in my opinion, when the stakes feel personal. And what was the reason they returned to organic webbing? There's a reason.
He's evolving like a spider. Evolving. They explain it.
Yeah. Another bloated plot point, but they explain it. Logan Missiak for $5. Chris Allen, your honest thoughts on the CGI in this new Spider-Man film? Is No Way Home? In No Way Home, is CGI pretty bad? CGI is pretty good.
It's pretty good in this one. I'll say, but in anything, there's this shot they spent a lot of time on. This one they didn't.
And that's when someone's asking about Kieran Shipka. If Chris had his way, she would have been cut. So, Paul Costa for 0 jewels. Uncle Eric, thank you. Spud Tax for $9.99. You're my favorite couple from Movie Talk. Alan lost my respect a little bit for his Superman talk. It sucked, not the actor's fault. You're wrong. Then gained all my respect back for his out of the theater see reaction, mad love for Film Threat.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks, Bud.
I put my neck out there for that. For everyone on that one. Jay by the FS Big for 2. Walt rules, Iger drools, Eisner era mostly. Yeah, up until the end. He really screwed it up in the end. John Who get a 5 Film Threat membership. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Here we go.
Grand Admiral Hawktua. So it's TikTok paced movie like James Gunn's Superman.
Parts of it, but what I like about it, it's slowed down to have character moments. Mm-hmm. It's slowed down to be a real drama. So it's not, there are parts that are like that, you're right, but then there are parts that slowed down. Superman, I never felt slowed down to have a real moment. This movie has real moments.
Yeah, Odyssey was a TikTok movie. Defending the truth. Well, yeah, they fired the white man who could prevent this and put in weak men, minorities, gay and females who want to agree with everyone.
What is your avatar? It's like a duck with a...
Like Howard the Duck kind of...
I like it.
J. Ham Stoneface. Wow, Chris, you mean executives acting like parents who want to be friends? And J. Ham Stoneface.
Duck with a...
Like Howard the Duck kind of...
I like it. What is your avatar? It's like a duck with a...
Like Howard the Duck kind of...
I like it.
J. Ham Stoneface. Wow, Chris, you mean kind of...
What is your avatar? It's like a duck with a...
Like Howard the Duck kind of...
I like it.
J. Ham Stoneface. Wow, Chris, you mean executives acting like parents who want to be friends and seem cool like their kids?
Yeah, those are some lame people. Lame. But hey, on this show we like to talk to indie filmmakers about their movies and give them a voice. Here to have a discussion. Filmmaker John Bolerjack is here with his documentary Stan Lee, The Final Chapter. Let's talk to him about the film. Hey, John, thanks for joining us on the show today. Let's put you full screen here. What's going on? Good to see you.
Oh, it's good to see you, man. It's been a while since we talked last.
Been a while, and you finished the documentary. I know you were like look, I know how hard that is. It's tough. It's tough, man. Let's get into it because we just finished Comic-Con. Two things that remind me of Stan Lee. That's why I'm glad you're here today. Alan and I just got back from Comic-Con, and we saw a Marvel movie that did not have a Stan Lee cameo. I miss the Stan Lee cameos in Marvel movies. I miss seeing Stan Lee, a guy that's as famous as him, walking around Comic-Con. You were there with him. Before we talk about the doc, what was it like to know and work with Stan Lee?
I mean, it's pretty much like you would imagine it. It's just as cool as you imagine it, basically. There's no secret sauce behind that. I mean, you just got to hang out with a cool old guy, who you forgot was famous after about 10 minutes up until, like Robert Downey Jr. comes into the room, then you realize again, but he was just a down-to-earth guy who just, was fun to hang out with,
And so you were with him at conventions.
Mm-hmm.
You were with him at events. What prompted you to want to make this documentary? Because I do know there was some controversy over, in the last years of his life. It felt like he was being taken advantage of.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to describe it is the soul-crushing truth of a man that you're worried won't get out, you know what I mean? And the responsibility that comes with that, like there's about 10 times during the process of trying to make this film over the course of a decade where I had people join me to help and then quit, join me to help and quit, because it was a real struggle to get that out. But it's the responsibility of getting that truth out is kind of like, that's it. There's really no other, I don't know if there's a greater reason than that. You know what I mean? To just feel responsible for making sure that the record is set straight so that's in the history books forever.
Yeah, I mean, look, I grew up reading his comics. I remember I subscribed to FOOM, Friends of All Marvel.
Yeah.
I would read the Marvel bullpen, the letters. He would those responses to the letters. I mean, I read them cover to cover and the tiny print and even the ads. Like, he had such a profound impact, not just on my life, obviously a lot of people, but the legacy he's left and what he did. I think they don't make men like Stan Lee anymore. They don't make them because the values that he imbued upon his work are the kind of values I think that are missing in current Hollywood and current superhero fare. I don't know if you want to say anything. I've got the trailer for your movie queued up. I want to share it. Alan, if you wanted to add something.
Oh, don't. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I've got the trailer here. Let's watch the trailer for your movie, is it out now?
It's out now. Yeah, it's on Amazon, on Apple, it's on YouTube. It's all VOD there, so you can find them. It started yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's watch the trailer. It's 2 minutes.
Excelsior! I bet you know enough to do a biography.
Well, maybe I will. I don't know if I'm going to do your whole life story, but I might just talk about the last 5 years or so.
And nobody knows it better than you.
You cannot talk and listen at the same time. If you try to talk to him and listen to him, it doesn't work. This is how arguments happen. It's impossible. So Jesus is...
You can't like comics and not know who Stan Lee is. He is essentially the god of comics.
Let the magic begin.
So that means respond.
So you had a guy who was selling the tickets and taking the money. You had a guy who was at the merch booth selling T-shirts. You had someone who was taking photos and selling those. You had, a guy whose sole job was to take the comic from the customer and slide it in front of Stan. And it was optimized to make money.
He built the biggest skyscraper, the biggest roller coaster.
I do seem to be a big celebrity. I should be richer, but Max somehow managed to get me.
We're gonna dance.
They gotta speak. Jesus, like, whoa.
That Max Anderson, he calls himself my helper. I think he's my
like
boss.
years ago. Every single
I think
person
after this, I've made enough to retire. No, not even close.
Max found a way to monetize every single moment, every single opportunity.
It's not free. It's being paid for with Stan. He's paying for his life.
That's what I like.
2 straight hours of doing that. Joni, are you all right? Anything new?
I've never met a human who loved someone else more than Stan loves his wife, Joan. She was pretty much the reason for doing anything. When Joan died, the impact was immediate.
You saw the air just came completely out of the tires. He didn't want to go out anymore. It was very clear.
But to Max, it was just like another day. He just lost his wife. Let him mourn.
Stan asked me, how much money did I make? And he just had no idea.
He had a bag full of money.
Yeah. Max.
He must have been paid in cash for something.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Like it's crazy. You're just going, how does this story end? And I think everybody was braced for the worst possible ending.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Here's the website, which is stanleethefinalchapter.com. Watching that, I'll just say this. I was fortunate in my life to be able to interview and meet Stan Lee several times at the Catalina Film Festival, at the LA Comic-Con, or Stan Lee's Kamikaze, as it was known, and at Dragon Con. I interviewed him 3 times in Q&As. I just meeting him, I was in awe. All I wanted was him to sign my book, The Origins of Marvel Comics and The Son of Origins of Marvel Comics. I had those books when I was in 3rd grade and read them cover to cover. I was in awe. One thing I remember about him, the guy Max that's in the doc, came Origins of Marvel Comics and The Son of Origins of Marvel Comics. I had those books when I was in 3rd grade and read them cover to cover. I was in awe. One thing I remember about him, the guy Max that's in the doc, came out to me and put the fear of God in me like a mafia guy. And like, you're going to do this and it's going to be this and then Stan came to me with the nicest guy ever. But it was weird. One thing I did, maybe people don't know, he was hard of hearing. And so when I asked a question, I'd hold the mic like this and I had to turn and yell where his ear was. So I would yell like this so he could hear the question. He genuinely cared. He genuinely cared about the fans. That was the impression I got. And when I saw him at Dragon Con was the first time I interviewed him. He came out, he looked so frail. And then when the thing started, it was like, yeah, let's go. And then he was like the Energizer Bunny. He was balls of energy when he needed to be, and then he would just kind of pull back. What has been the reaction? I know, did it come out just today?
No, it came out yesterday, but we had done a screening. Yeah, it came out on VOD yesterday, but we screened it at San Diego Comic-Con, and we had a lot of creatives, a lot of creators in the space had already seen it. So I had a original premiere last month in LA. So a lot of people had already seen it, and if they've all been generally positive, 99% of the time people have, appreciated it. The response has been really good. So it's been like very rewarding, to have this out and people respond to it.
Yeah. Was it tough to navigate getting the truth out there? You mentioned that Max felt like an intimidating person. Was there a lot of back and forth between him?
Yeah, well, no, in the sense of like when I started working on this film, when I was in pre-production, Max sued me to stop this film from coming out. So that was like a 6-year lawsuit. It was supposed to take like 6 months. My lawyer's like, this lawsuit's stupid. It'll go away. And then we just had a really bad luck of like judges that didn't understand it. Like one of our judges had worked in probate and thought it would be fun to take, try a different kind of, like case. And he didn't quite get the nuance of some. So we just had a really bad run of bad luck. And it took 6 years after 6 years, it just got me where I started. It was just, and so I had that. And I had lots of other sort of bumps along the way. So it was, Max as a person was actually the least scary part of that. It was, everything else along the way to stop it from happening up until even when I first met Chris, a year ago, there was just lots of roadblocks along the way. But like I said, the weight of the truth sort of trumps all that stuff. You just got to get it out there,
Yeah, I remember meeting Max, and one of the things, he would tell me stuff from the Marvel movies. He would mention like random things. And one of the best, I mentioned earlier, the Stan Lee cameos was like a staple in every Marvel movie. And his passing Marvel has lost something since he passed. Some kind of magic. One of the best, I love the Stan Lee cameos. One of the best ones was in Thor. The hammer, and he tries to pull it out of the pit and the back of his truck comes off.
Yeah.
But they shot, which I don't know if anyone has ever seen, maybe they're saving it. They did shoot a different cameo for Stan. They usually do like 3 or 4 different ones. They figure out which one to work in. They had a cameo of Stan Lee and Thor where he's driving down the road and something happens with his car. He gets out. There's a hammer in the middle of the road. He picks it up and tosses it away. Yeah. So I don't know if that's ever been seen, but Max told me about it.
Yeah, there's like 20 outtakes of his Guardians cameo when he's with the Watchers, because James Gunn was like, okay, the camera's just going to zoom in and you're just going to look up and say wow, or so that's it. That's all you're going to do. And Stan couldn't help himself. So as the entire time the camera's pushing in, Stan's just freewheeling this made-up dialogue about it as the camera's getting to him. And it's like 35 seconds long, and then it's over. And then James is like, okay, cool, Stan, that's great. But let's just do one like how you're supposed to. And it literally was like 6 or 7 of these before he finally just said the 2 words or whatever that they used.
Yeah. It was definitely, he loved his fans. The fact that he would take that time, and I'm talking about time where he wasn't being paid. Just like it's Stan. Like it's just I every time I got to spend any time with him, I was just in awe because the positive effect he had on kids to read. There were 2 things he did. One, to just read stories. Number 1. Number 2, all the morality tales. The stories of heroism. And if you've seen, there's other documentaries about Stan and Marvel Comics where you see Stan did the poses. He would come in and act out like that whole, he was very Shakespearean, very like, he could have been an actor, I read his,
loved to have been an actor.
But his devotion to his wife, and I read about that in his biography. It's amazing. So
I forget, did you see the film? Did you get an early?
I haven't seen the film yet. I haven't gotten
it. But we did review it. We
did review it on the website.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't.
That's what it was. Okay. Yeah. No, look, I say that it's in the trailer, but it's the truth. Is like, I never met a guy that loved, his wife more than Stan. It was like a very charming, humbling experience to see a guy so like dedicated to his wife.
Yeah. We've got over 2,000 people watching live and lots of questions. We can go to their questions in the chat. Alan, do you have something?
No, you pretty much answered it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Let's go to our audience here. Lord Thoth must watch. Tucker time. My friend Jeff Tucker. Stan was so nice to my kids at San Diego Comic-Con. He stopped on the way to his hotel room to take photos with them. Yeah, San Diego this year was not that great. I'm just telling you, not that great. But Sean Hu, Mr. Bowlerjack, thank you for bringing this to everyone's attention. Most of us would never have had any idea. Lord Thoth, Marvel has lost its heart. Rhaegar Targaryen Prime. What was the first comic that got you into Marvel? What did you read a lot of growing up?
I mean, this is going to be a sacrilegious answer because in hindsight, I understand it wasn't the greatest, but I actually, as a kid, got into comics during the worst time, which was the Onslaught series and the Clone Saga.
Wow.
But remember, when you're a kid and you open up the Onslaught book and Carlos Pacheco has a splash page of like every hero, you know, that was like, I was like the Avengers movie before the Avengers movie, you know what I mean? Like as a kid, you thought, oh, this is great. You weren't really paying that much attention to the story, you know? It was like the art and all the heroes exactly what you wanted, you know?
Yeah. More questions here. Gareth Ross, UK, for £2. Thank you. Does this doc feature anything from UK cons?
No, it doesn't actually. The backstory to that is that early on, allegedly, this is the story, at least that I got, is that Stan and Max went to a show in the UK and they signed a contract that said they couldn't do any other shows in the UK. And this was before Stan was really up. And so it was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, who cares? And then as Stan started to balloon up, Max wasn't pleased with that contract anymore. So, like, out of spite, they couldn't do other shows, and they never did the show they signed the contract for. So he just never went back to the UK because you couldn't get all the MCMs and the bigger shows. So they just never went.
Franklin Sterling III. I enjoyed the Onslaught.
Yeah, see, he knows what's up.
Come on. And Red Pilled Rants. Have you received flack from those hovering around the Lee estate? So,
you know, I will say this. It's a good question. I mean, the Lee estate as it stands is and in the past has been chock full of in my opinion, the wrong kind of people. But luckily, they're sort of some of the people there are kind of low-level grifters, and I have them either blocked or they don't have my contact anymore, or they're busy, you know, trying to get what they can get out of it. So I haven't actually had much from them, actually. So that's been fine.
Which one of them approved the hologram? That's what.
Dude, don't even get me started on the hologram.
The hologram of you can get a photo with the hologram of Stan Lee, and they apparently Marvel has rights to use Stan.
No, so let me just I want to go back to the hologram, but there's a company that owns the rights to Stan's name and likeness. It's not Marvel. It got sold around and pieced around and ended up with a different company. But I know the guy and met him that okayed that hologram box, and the guy himself is a perfectly nice guy. I don't think he did it like maliciously. I just don't think he has like the full I think he's very like laser focused on it, and he's not paying attention to the whole thing. Because I told him I saw him at San Diego, and I was like, dude, that is awful. Like that. I mean, and for me, it's different because like I told him, I'm like, what if I put your mom in a hologram box? Like, what if I put your dead mom in there? Right. Would you like that? But, you know, and, you know, he was kind of offended by that, which I get. But it's like, for me, you know, it's creepy just because it stands a person and a regular guy to me. But I just don't, you know, I was like, look, I don't really care about the AI Stan reading a school book. I don't really care that much about that. That's not like whatever. But when you put a guy's like this and he waves to you and you like pay to talk to him, it's like it's getting way Black Mirror in a way that I'm just like, oof, this is not good.
Yeah, and a final question is actually for you and I, Alan. Davina Duckworth, did Chris, Alan, or John ever win a Marvel No Prize? I never got one, but I loved that concept.
Yeah, I have sent in. I sent in one letter.
I bought one off. I was a little past my time. I bought one off eBay, but I never got one personally.
What does it look like?
It's just I have it in here somewhere. It's just literally just an envelope. I think Dr. Doom might be on it. I don't remember, and it just says like Marvel No Prize, and then it's empty envelope. There's nothing in there.
Yeah. It's a literal no prize.
Yeah.
Well, here it is. The website, Stan Lee, thefinalchapter.com. The movie is everywhere. YouTube. It's all the formats. Apple.
Yeah.
Amazon. Get it, check it out, a review on Film Thread. John, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you, and appreciate that you stuck with it. How long did you spend on the doc?
Dude, this was a decade, my man. I had nice, no gray in my hair. I was younger. I was like, it's like, I look back now at even some of the footage of me, and I'm like, oh man, I'm getting old, dude. This is the next one I got to do is got to be shorter. I don't think I have another decade in me for a second one.
So the 6-year lawsuit give you more time then to work?
Yeah, that's actually, I will say this. The only benefit of that is actually being forced to sit and really sculpt something and go look for stuff that was like little moments here and there. Like I will say that from a story building perspective, it could have been worse. Like we did get to really mill the footage and find little gems here and there. But yeah, that's what the only benefit that came from that.
Well, this is why I admire doc filmmakers so much. I mean, one, because I've made a doc myself, and that was a years-long journey. But also, none of them have butlers. They're you're not going to get rich making a doc.
No.
It's you do it for the love.
The best joke is how do you become a millionaire making a documentary? You start as a billionaire. No one makes
what you do.
No one makes money making documentary. Sunday night I was loading my booth to my van outside of the Hilton, not in my Ferrari, not in my yacht, but pushing boxes and sweating Sunday night. So no one's making money off of documentaries.
Tell me about it. John, thank you so much. Congrats on the movie, and thanks for talking to us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, wait, one last question.
Jay by the FS Bay for 2. Thank you, John. Stan deserves the respect and honor.
Thank you. I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. And thank you, John. Appreciate you. Come back in 10 years when you have another doc.
Dude, I will. I will.
Love it. All right, take care. Thanks.
Take it easy.
Later. Bye.
Okay.
And that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thanks to our mods, Lord Thoth, MK Solid, ADLS24, and Ololique on Rumble. Thank you to Atomic Lori. She never gives herself enough credit. We appreciate her.
She has never given herself credit.
Never. Like, not one time.
Could easily slip in Atomic Lori.
I had it. She never has it. But that's it. We'll be back on Friday with a spoiler review of Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Yeah, we'll get into the gray areas.
We'll get into the gray areas of Spider-Man Brand New Day. And we've got a couple film reviews and lots of news on Friday. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Alan?
Let's get out of here.
Okay. Let us get out of that and get into Resident Evil. I think we've had enough of the Odyssey, and so I get into some of these. I gotta be careful because I cannot show the trailer too much.
All right, let's move on to Resident Evil. Okay. We got a new Resident Evil trailer. This one I will have to skip around because I know Sony does copyrights. But, okay. A lot to talk about because there's always with Resident Evil. It's
I better be careful then. That's why I got a copyright. It's Sony. Because it depends on who does it. Okay. There's actually there's something I want to show. Actually, I just thought about it. If I can find the right one. Let me go back to the playlist. Here we go.
What's up, guys? I just got out of Spider-Man Brand New Day. This is a very quick social reaction. I can't say much because the embargo hasn't lifted yet. But all I want to say is that this is far and away the best MCU film that has come out in years. I think a lot of people are going to say this is easily the best MCU Spider-Man film. The Spider-Man films of the MCU are near and dear to my heart. I'm also just a massive Spider-Man fan in general, and I can confidently say this may be at the top of the list. This movie is freaking incredible. I can't even believe Destin Daniel Cretton pulled this off. I would liken it to maybe like the Batman or Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. Obviously, it has that Spidey sense of humor, but people are going to love this. It's going to make a ton of money, and I cannot wait to talk more about it.
I would like you to join me today for a prayer for the Spider-Man Brand New Day movie. It doesn't matter if you are Christian, Jewish, Muslim, atheist, I don't know. Pray to whatever God you want or the universe or whatever force you believe in that creates divine narratives. We're going to pray for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Marvel needs this. And don't get me wrong, it's not like they need our prayers. This is about to crack $1 billion in a week. There is a quality problem with Marvel that's more important than any of that. It's been on a mudslide, a downwards mudslide of dog shit the last couple of years. We need this new movie to be good. Listen, I like No Way Home. On rewatch, yes, overrated as fuck. There's a lot of problems with it. Spider-Man Brand New Day could save the storytelling of Spider-Man in modern day filming in MCU forever. But we're gonna do this prayer. You and me, we're gonna hold hands. We're gonna hold hands, okay? I still have hope for superhero films. I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't give a fuck anymore. Because Hollywood continues to make superhero films, and they will, I kind of want the movies I'm gonna go to watch in the theaters to be good. Sorry. So I will make this prayer for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Let's hold hands. The following things, if you're listening, cosmic force that governs everything in the universe. These things must happen in Spider-Man Brand New Day, or not happen in Spider-Man Brand New Day for this to be epic. Best Spider-Man film ever. Hopefully. Probably not. Number one, the Hulk cannot get cucked. And what I mean by that, cosmic force that's watching and hearing my prayers, I don't mean literal cuck, like, oh, someone in the corner of a hotel room watching their wife get fucked. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a Hulk who gets his ass whooped and gets humiliation ritually embarrassed badly. I am not a fan of the idea of Spider-Man knocking Hulk the fuck out with the Shocker's Gauntlet, which I think is going to happen. These things I'm praying for are the things that probably will happen in the movie that I don't want to, okay? I need Hulk to... I'm not saying he needs to kill Spider-Man. Realistically, that probably would happen. I'm not saying he even needs to beat Spider-Man, because it's Spider-Man's movie. Just don't have him go out like a little bitch, okay? That's my number one. Number two, Sadie Sink. I am like 99.99999% certain she's Jean Grey. People have been, in my Discord, have been fighting back against me about this, saying I don't think she is. She's Jean Grey. I haven't seen it. Listen, people have been trying to spoil it on my Discord. I'm getting off all internet for the next couple days until I watch this film. I know she's Jean Grey. I just have a feeling. Do not make her the main villain, dear God, of Spider-Man Brand New Day. It will be lame as fuck for the villain of a Spider-Man film to be Jean Grey, who's going to end up being an anti-hero who's redeemed at the end and will be part of the hero team. That would be very stupid and very predictable, might I add, for you to do that, unless she's like an evil variant. Please do not make her the main villain. There must be another person controlling and puppeteering the strings behind the scenes. I really do not want Jean Grey to come in and take over Spider-Man's film. In terms of the villain, I don't think it's Tombstone. It's not Scorpion. Have it be someone we haven't seen in the trailers or the leaks yet. I'm manifesting Mr. Negative or somebody like that. She looks damn good in this picture, by the way, Sadie Sink. She has a face card. I'll give her that. Do not let her take over Spider-Man's film. And I will say this. I'm completely against her being the villain. Unless you are willing to not pussyfoot around and commit to her being evil. I don't care if she's the evil Jean Grey. I don't know if you're doing a Dark Phoenix arc for her. Do not make this a thing where, oh, she's evil until you realize she's not, and then she's redeemed and Spider-Man saves her then. No. If you're going to make her a villain, go full Scarlet Witch with Multiverse of Madness. Okay? Make her a villain. Even then, why the fuck would Jean Grey be a villain in Spider-Man's film? Makes no fucking sense. But if you're going to make her a villain, make her an actual villain. They're not going to, though, because we know she's coming back in more films. We know she's Jean Grey of the new X-Men, okay? I know it. Another thing. And I think this is going to happen, alright? How much you want to bet? This dude from Severance is playing the leader of Damage Control. Tremel Tillman, okay? He's playing that.
Yeah, he's from Mission Impossible: The Final Awakening.
I do not want it to be revealed that this dude is actually the real villain. Who had abused Jean Grey in a series of experiments, and she broke out and she's angry at him, and the whole story is her trying to get revenge on damage control. It's going to be like Fire Fist from Deadpool, where the kid got abused by the scientists and the whole movie is Deadpool trying to save him from being a killer so he doesn't end up being a villain. I already know it's going to be that. Let's just pray it isn't. I know movies too well. I know these fucking predictable writers too well. I pray to God of the gods or Marvel gods, please do not ruin the consequences of No Way Home and make Ned a friend of Peter's again and make everything go back to normal. No. Ned needs to not only forget who Peter was and not be the same Ned anymore, but you need to set him up to have a villain arc. I'm really sorry, if you're including him in the Spider-Man films going forward, you need to change things up. No more bullshit. Make him a villain. We all want to see Ned shave his head, become jacked, get on a glider and throw pumpkins at Peter's house. That's what we want. Please, 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 make Ned a villain. I beg you. He wants to fuck Zendaya, we know it, okay? She wants to fuck Spider-Man. He's not gonna like that. He's obsessed with finding out Spider-Man's identity. Then when he finds out, maybe sees Spider-Man as a bad guy by the end of it, decides, fuck Spider-Man, I'm gonna be a villain. Gets rich, gets ripped, becomes red-pilled, tries to take Zendaya back. We know that's where Ned's going. Please let it happen, Marvel, please. Speaking of which, Zendaya, I pray, kill her off. I'm joking. Zendaya doesn't need to die. I have no problem with Zendaya the actress. I'm going to say this 50 million times again because I feel like you just have to say this nowadays. Everyone's too fucking sensitive now. I have no problem with Zendaya the actress. We need to move on. MJ and Zendaya were a thing. That thing is gone now. No Way Home established that. Again, do not ruin the consequences of No Way Home. She's forgotten him. I know that they're going to have scenes together in this film where he saves her, blah, blah, blah. She cannot remember who he is. And Peter needs to make a decision. The same decision Peter Quill made when he decided to let Gamora go in Guardians 3. Let her go. It's for her own good. Peter, we have greener pastures to move on to. There are other women in your universe that you can get with. I hope to God they're not making Jean Grey one of them, by the way. We need to move on. I do not give a fuck about Zendaya and Peter anymore. Now, here are the impossible ones I'm going to ask for. Okay? Here are the things that I can pray for as much as I want. I know the Marvel will never do this. Or won't anytime soon, okay? Number one. I don't want Daredevil. I'm not saying I want I'm not saying I expect Daredevil to be in the film, because I don't. Daredevil is about to be done in season 3. We're not going to see him again probably after that, unfortunately, unless he's in a Spider-Man film. I just want a slight mention of Daredevil. Matt Murdock. Maybe he's in prison. I want Frank Castle to mention him. Like, he has to reference him. Like, bro, Spider, you're not the only idiot dressed in red who crawls on rooftops. I was dealing with another one in Hell's Kitchen not too long ago. You know, like, it's as simple as that. Or maybe when he's in prison fighting the Hand, maybe we see a list of people to visit, and Matt Murdock's on the list. I don't fucking know. Something stupid like that. Maybe we see Matt Murdock in the visitor section. I don't know. I'm just saying. We need a reference to Matt Murdock. We need these two to... I want to see them on screen so bad. I know there was somebody in my Discord, and he knows who he is, that suggested that Daredevil just get rebooted. You should never be allowed to make decisions, and thank God you're not. You don't belong anywhere near creative decision making. All due respect, you're one of my OG fans. I know that, but still, terrible idea. We just need a scene with them at some point. But I want to reference to Matt Murdock. That's it. Number 2. We need I'm not saying this is going to happen in Brand New Day, and it shouldn't, because there's already too many fucking characters in this film. We just need Zendaya gone so we can set up a new love interest. You need to have Black Cat happen at some point, guys. I'm really sorry. Mention Felicia Hardy. I don't give a shit. We need Felicia Hardy. We need Black Cat in the Spider-Man universe ASAP. We need Spider-Man to have a new love interest, man. Every single... Dude... We don't have in my opinion, we still have yet to have a definitive romance for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I know Zendaya was it for the last 2 movies. I understand that. We can do better. I always found Zendaya and Tom's relationship, I didn't even mind it. I thought it was, okay, it's an adorable little relationship with 2 awkward people, but At some point that gets old. That shtick gets old. We need something new. I need you guys to do the thing that's right and logical at this point. We all know Hollywood loves striking while the iron's hot and overcasting people to death. They're doing it with Austin Butler, Glenn Powell, all these fucking actors that I can't wait to not see anymore on screen, Pedro Pascal. How about you use some brain cells, Marvel, and cast Indy Neverett while she's fucking hot right now, and I mean in more ways than one. She is one of the most popular actresses online right now because of Obsession. She's going to be getting infinite roles now. She's sexy. She is Black Cat. Her personality completely matches it. If you've seen the way this chick is, she doesn't even need to do any acting. Make her Felicia Hardy. Make her Black Cat. That's it. No Sydney Sweeney. No Anya Taylor-Joy. I wouldn't mind that either, but Indy. Indy's better. Indy's good. Do it. Do it, Marvel. That's all. I don't ask for many things in life, guys. I don't ask the cosmic forces that govern all for much. This is my simple prayer. I want Spider-Man Brand New Day to be good and to at least hold up some of these prayers. I don't expect it to hold up all of them, if any at all. But this is what we need as fans. We demand it. Thank you for listening to this, Marvel. You fucking idiots. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission to take over Hollywood. But the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals, join the Zafy Discord now. Link is in the description and the comment section as well. Join us. This movement is just beginning. We're taking over Hollywood, one coke line at a time.
Guys, I just came out of the zone
Okay.
watching.
I think we can move on now. I think. Give me 1 second.
The controversies, it's the angry fans, it's whether Zach Cregger is going to pull it off or what's going on. As you guys know, Resident Evil was unfortunately never one of those video games that I got too into. I'd love to go back and actually play the games. In fact, I have it here. My, whatchamacallit, my stepbrother, he actually gifted me the latest Resident Evil game, and I do actually want to play it. But I want to... people say I can play it without knowing any of the other games, but I actually do want to go back and play some of the old ones. So I'm not someone that's like, it has to be like the games. I'm not even someone that attached to the previous franchise. I just want to see a cool zombie movie, honestly, right? And so Zach Cregger had an idea for one. He got it here. This trailer, I'm telling you, I think I'm gonna love this movie, or at least I'm gonna super enjoy it. One of the reasons, I think it's the casting. I really like. Let me get his name right here. Austin Abrams. Austin Abrams is just so funny. He's got good, like this little moment here where he's just trying to find, and then he stumbles upon something nasty.
Evan, do you know where I can take this? Excuse me, oh my god.
Oh my god, no. I think he's so great, and he was one of the best parts of Weapons. His character was really good, and a completely different role he's playing here. He's not the stoner guy, but we get an idea of the story. So he's a package deliverer, I guess, for the hospital, taking things from one hospital to another, probably usually organs or medicine, vital things, and he gets paid, and he gets sent out to send something to Raccoon City, which again was another sweet little thing at the end that I thought was funny.
Raccoon City General.
Hey, no sweat.
Great, he's so charming. And so then that becomes his mission. But it looks like the zombie apocalypse has not happened yet. It's going to happen as he starts going out to Raccoon City. I've already seen fans speculate that maybe this is the cure or it's something important. My thing is, okay, once the apocalypse starts happening and you start seeing zombies or these crazy things after you, why in the heck would I ever care about delivering this package then? If I'm a DoorDasher and I got your Little Caesars Webberoni, and I see zombie towards me?
Yeah, you can get the fuck out of here.
I'm not delivering your Webberoni. That Webberoni is for the zombie, and hopefully that distracts him enough, because I can only run at full speed for like 2 minutes before, Charlie leg. And then I fall to the ground. And then I die. So I am going to be curious when he finds out, like, oh, this is actually something important and I still need to deliver it and still need to take it, because that'd be on my mind, is like, why would I want to after that point? Other than that, I think it looks great. I also love the look of it. The snow setting is cool. I love this transition shot where they were like showing off Zach Cregger's credits and the things he's known for. I thought that was handled really cool. Let me see if I can get to it. All right, here. Red lights! Oh, it's so good. Red lights! I thought this was a cool little windshield wiper showing off all his credits. That looks awesome. Okay, so to me, I'm sold and I'm so in, and I'm kind of highly anticipating this movie. But you know what? Trying to play devil's advocate and see it from the fan perspectives, now this trailer really showcases almost no connection to the video game. It is only set in the world of the video game. There will be the name Raccoon City of the place he's going to. Maybe familiar zombies or crazy creatures from that world. But you're not getting really much else than that. And I guess if you are a fan and you've been begging for an adaptation when there's been several Resident Evil adaptations. It's not just the movies. There was also the Sony reboot that was trying to be faithful to the games, didn't do a great job. But there was also the Netflix show that also got a lot of flack. It just feels like anytime they try doing the games, it doesn't work out. And more than not, people, at least general audiences, respond to when it's not so much the games. I mean, I'm trying to... Is it Mila Jovovich? What's her name?
Jovovich.
Evil movies. I know they started out kind of faithful, these movies. They started out kind of faithful to the game, but then they quickly went into their own thing, and I am shocked with the amount that they had. To me, it's like, I can understand Sony's point where it's like, yeah, let's just let him do what he wants. I mean, it's Zach Cregger, and he's doubled down on it. Zach Cregger has been doing interviews at San Diego Comic-Con leading up to this, and he addresses the hate and all the stuff he's getting, where it says here, Zach Cregger addresses criticisms. Well, actually, we could just play it. Of modern phones and snow in Resident Evil.
In the 90s, when Resident Evil 2 came out, and it does take place in the snow. It takes place in the snow in 2026. That's why he has an iPhone, and because I took liberties to tell a story I wanted to tell and make a movie look the way I wanted to make it look. I am not doing exactly a one-for-one Resident Evil 2, adaptation. Like there are differences between this movie and the game. So I just want to acknowledge that. I don't think it makes the movie any worse. I think it looks really fucking cool to have a horror movie set in the snow. It's just I don't see enough of those. I like it a lot. So this it's an aesthetic decision. It's just an aesthetic decision. If the barrier of entry is whether I do a one-for-one port, then I guess then in that regard, I have failed.
And these comments, with the way, because you can obviously see it's annoyed him a bit. He's gotten these comments endlessly since the movie kind of came out, announced, and what the idea is. And here we have a very liked response by someone who says, but that's not Resident Evil then. It's your movie and your story. You're using the name and references of Resident Evil to tap into the existing audience of. And at its core, it's lame audience farming, which, again, I don't want to dismiss too much. I still think, hey, be happy. He is lifting up your brand. That's how I'll put it to you right now. Because Resident Evil fans, okay, be upset that it might not be the game. It might not be the exact thing you want adapted. But this could actually be a step to get something like that. Because right now, where Resident Evil's at least in the movie world, I know in the game world it's doing just fine. But in the movie world, it's in the pooper. The audiences do not care, and the movies do not generate that much attention or buzz. The main reason this movie at all is getting attention and buzz is because of Zach Cregger. And what he's done with Weapons and Barbarian, he's created a name that's drawn some excitement, and now he's elevating your brand. So while, yes, I could see it as you going, you're just using this as an IP and all that, he's doing your IP a favor. Because your IP right now is, in terms of the movies, not the game, is just not where it needs to be. So, okay, Not Faithful right now has a couple of things that hint to the games, but this goes well, this does good. Sony's going to be like, finally, we got our Resident Evil franchise back. Can you do another one? But this time, can you make it faithful? Can you introduce some other characters? Zach could either do it, or he could hand it off to somebody else, but at least now your brand is on the upswing, and then you have good things going for it. That's how I kind of see it right now. So, yes, I totally get being upset that they're just using the brand, but I think it actually could be a benefit to Resident Evil to have a good movie in the series. Because, I mean, let's look at the Rotten Tomato scores of the Resident Evil franchise. Where is it at right now?
Right? You know, she don't want to fucking do. She just has a little handgun for self-defense. She's not like Alice.
All right, Resident. I mean, okay, first movie 36, the Sony reboot 30. Well, the animated movies are doing good. Then live action, yeah. Like, I think live action wise, there has not been a single Resident Evil movie that has been well received. I mean, even the audience score is pretty low with. We don't do that anymore, Chris. What are you doing? So I don't know. That's just my take on it. Maybe I'll end up canceled for a second time on Twitter, but I could see it as a mutually beneficial thing. But I totally get fans being upset because. Yeah, if I loved Resident Evil to death, and I finally would want these characters and this world that I know is so rich be completely ignored, it kind of
you just tell me the same all the time.
All right, so yeah,
it's that creative.
You guys let me know. All right, let's move on to Blade Runner, where I didn't even watch the trailer before. There was so much, man. There were so many things. I did see details about it, so. Let's see if I can get it, skim through this without getting dinged too hard. Okay, so I'm gonna like can I half see it, guys? I'm sorry. It's just Amazon does copy strike. Okay, but I'll just start off with this. As far as the world looks, I think it's close enough. Blade Runner is a very expensive world. I love what Denis Villeneuve did with his Blade Runner with Ryan Gosling and all that. Honestly, I like that movie more than the original Harrison Ford. Blasphemy, I know. But I thought that was great. And with this movie, this show, it's starring Hunter Schafer. And I believe it's in a world now, because I did read up on the details of the show. I just hadn't got to watch the trailer. It takes place in a world where the replicants, which are these like android pretending to be people, have now kind of taken over the city. And now you have Michelle Yeoh's character who, right, that's her, am I mistaken, is hunting them down. And Hunter Schafer is actually pretending to be a human in this world. I think that's kind of cool. I like this. I just think the Blade Runner universe looks cool. It's responsible for a lot of the cyberpunkness that we have. Again, my apologies. I really should have seen this beforehand, but geez, I really do like the look of this. You can see it's not as perfect. Ooh, that looks nice. So, I don't know. I think that there's definitely room and potential for all this to go really well. I do like that story and where it's headed. I just think maybe Blade Runner is also one of those things there just isn't that much interest in outside of the older generation that grew up or watched the Harrison Ford movie when that came out, because that one that Denis Villeneuve did, it didn't really perform all that well, did it? A lot of that could have been because of marketing, Because I remember a lot of the marketing was so secretive about the film. Box office, let's see. Okay, it's not terrible. 259. I'm sure they would have liked a little bit more, at least across the 300 mil mark. But yeah, that's definitely, and that was always the case with Denis Villeneuve. It was like he makes such great movies, not enough people go see them. But now with Dune, that has changed. So I do like what I'm seeing from this. It looks interesting. They're recreating the world the best they can with the budget they have for TV. I'm in for it. Let me see what you guys are saying. Is it $20.99? Sorry, I get them confused. It's $20.99. Thank you guys. T-1. Is Hunter gonna say you look lonely? Oh, dude, it'd be nice to get references to all that. 29. It'd be nice to get references to all that. So it's also cool that it's set in the future. That's the other thing I do like about it. Because when you watch these TV shows, they always like to do the prequel or.
Anyway, let's move on.
Resident Evil has been popping off like crazy in the games department for a long time now. I feel like they come out with a new game like every year. They look great. They play great. Some of them are remakes, remasters, repurposes, reduxes, whatever you want to say with a re in front. Others of them are brand new entries. And now we have a brand new entry into the film space, which has definitely been on the lower quality side of things with 15 or so of those Resident Evil films that just got dumber and dumber as they went on. But now we have Zach Cregger. We have a prominent new character in the horror space. He directed Barbarian, which I hated with a passion. He directed Weapons, which I freaking loved. So I'm back and forth on this guy. Hopefully, a pattern isn't approaching though, and Cregger knocks it out of the park, because I have to tell you, the second trailer for the new Resident Evil movie looks pretty damn good. Now, I'm certainly no stranger when it comes to the Resident Evil games, but I'm definitely not the most knowledgeable encyclopedia of information you're going to find. I've played probably half of them, dabbled here and there. Resident Evil Village was really good. I loved Requiem from this year. But that said, the story has never really been the thing that's pushed me on or interested me. It's always got something to do with Umbrella, working on new experiments, characters come and go. It gets a little silly and cartoonish at times. I'm in it more for the scares. So Zach Cregger taking the material, maybe throwing the story in the trash and coming up with something a little bit more fresh, a little bit more grounded, perfectly fine with me. And the trailer looks to be doing that somewhat while still paying plenty of nods to the games. Our protagonist, who I believe is a medical courier, kind of an inept one, he gets in an accident on a snowy road, ends up going into someone's house where he finds a shotgun and the classic iconic shotgun shells you see all over in the games when you open drawers. There's a typewriter upstairs, a direct nod to how you have to save these games every time, as frustrating as that can be. And it definitely has that survival vibe on its side as he's rummaging around the house, looking out the window as this fast-moving zombie thing coming after him. There's also a bunch of stuff I've never seen in the trailer, like the hands going all these different directions through the doorway. But that's what makes it fun. I don't want a carbon copy of the video game. They tried and failed this stuff so many times. What did we have a few years back? Welcome to Raccoon Shitty? That thing was terrible. It looks to be focused on one central character who is that courier this time around. It takes place in Raccoon City from the second game and some of the ones that follow. Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks visually fantastic. This director always makes beautiful looking imagery, though. His cinematography's just top notch. Music is on point. Again, the tone, the feels, they're all there as far as the trailer goes. This one has very much piqued my interest. I'm excited for this one for sure. This is a day one watch for me. There's an awesome shot in the trailer where the courier walks down a main road of Raccoon City and there's just blood everywhere. There's bodies all over the place. It looks like nightmare fuel, and I'm all in for some nightmare fuel, baby. I'd love to know if you are, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think he's going to get this one right? Maybe you love both of his previous films, so you're all in on this day one. Or you're like me and he missed with Barbarian but won you over with Weapons, and this one looks to be on track to be the next best thing. Leave a comment below. Please like and sub to the show. Adam Does Movies. I post tons of movie reviews, commentary, live streams a couple times a week. Would love to have you stick around. All right, take care. Thanks again for watching the video. If you didn't know, I'm a one-man operation here at Adam Does Movies. I also have a full-time job. I got a family to take care of, and I would absolutely love if you supported me on patreon.com/AdamDoesMovies like these beautiful people did here. These are the silver and gold members. There's also a bronze membership starting at $1, plus access to over 300 videos from the Adam Vault at any support level. I would really appreciate it. It's the best way to support the show. Hope to see you there.
Zafty with a fast forward to Zafty. I'm good.
Wait, what? What's that to do?
Spider-Man Brand New Day. Okay, I can't really get into spoilers because there's so many. So this is just some quick thoughts I just got out of the cinema. First of all, I watched in Dolby Atmos 2D.
Wait,
so I'm
what?
gonna watch it later in 3D, and I'll give you guys my full review after I watch it in 3D. Dolby Atmos, great choice in terms of sound. I don't know what was going on at the first 5 minutes in terms of the sound. I was really worried because the first 5 minutes I hated the sound mix, but the rest of the movie was fine. In terms of the sound mix, it was really good for the rest of the movie. This is the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie ever. Yeah, that's right. For those people who are like, oh my gosh, Spider-Man No Way Home was a masterpiece. If that was a masterpiece, what do you call this? Because the feels, the revelations, the character developments, the action, the cinematography, even the music. I'm sorry, Tom, for ever doubting your acting talents after I just watched the Odyssey, because
every day. God damn, it's every day. Full foods every day.
Wait, what? I think Zach Cregger is trolling us. I think the writers of this movie are literally trolling us and all the gaming fans and Resident Evil fans out there. New Resident Evil official trailer has come out. It's showing a lot of Easter eggs for gaming fans that are getting them hyped and getting them interested. As someone who hasn't played a lot of the Resident Evil games, even I saw this and was like, oh wow, are they actually giving the fans what they want? But then there's some other things that come up that make you question, okay, when is this taking place? Where is it taking place? It doesn't seem to be in correlation or continuity with the actual game story. And this makes you ask, what is the actual plan for this lore and story going forward by Zach Cregger and Resident Evil? Because I actually think I know what it is. It's very obvious where Zach Cregger's going with this and what he's doing and why he chose to do this. The trailer's come out. It doesn't do anything more for me than the teaser trailer did. I'm already excited for this film. I'm already going to watch it. This trailer showed a little bit more about the character that we're introduced to in this and the things that he has to do. There are some references to herbs, the fucking typewriter, the save game typewriter, you know what I'm saying? Heavy field, buckshot ammo and all that. People were hyped about that. All this stuff. The shotgun, him fiddling out with drawers, trying to figure out where's the bullets, and putting bullets in the shotgun, right? All harkening back to things that gamers have experienced within the Resident Evil game. A lot of people were hyped to see this. But then people were like, this doesn't look like Raccoon City. Especially not in 1998. First of all, this takes place, looks like this takes place in the winter. And this brother has a smartphone. People were saying, Zach Cregger said this was 1998. Was this a lie? Was this a lie? So I want to settle this because not only is this not taking place in the time that the original story took place, none of the characters from the games are in this. None of the characters set up from even the past movies are in this. It's just this brother who would be a dead body NPC in the game. So here's what Zach Cregger confirmed in an interview on a panel when this trailer got released, okay? It takes place in the snow in 2026. He's taking a big creative liberty. This is not a one-for-one Resident Evil game adaptation. Yeah, no shit. He really wanted snow. He had according to him, he had never seen a zombie city film in snow. I'm pretty sure there have been stuff like that, but maybe not on a high level, on a good level. He hasn't seen that. So that's one thing creatively he really wanted to see, and he decided to put it in 2026, modern day. A lot of fans did not like this. There's a lot of backlash. Here's what really happened, guys. Zach Cregger had a movie in his head that he wanted to see even prior to Resident Evil coming up on his radar. He had this zombie horror film set in the snow in a random city. Okay? The Resident Evil brand name came about and he took advantage of it. And this is confirmed with this quote. He stated, it's gonna be not at all like Barbarian, the other movies he's made, the weapons. He said he's instead comparing the film to Evil Dead 2. I'm assuming he means that in the way that he has a main character who's also very odd and humorous and quirky and charismatic going up against odds, and there's some dark humor. And that this is a story that I would have wanted to write whether I got the IP or not. He had his own story in mind and decided to match it up with whatever he could from the Resident Evil lore. And I'm not going to even say that this is a negative thing in nature, but essentially, and it could be to fans, Resident Evil, the title of Resident Evil, the brand, the everything that comes with that IP, did not matter to him in the grand scheme. He had his own story, his own vision in mind, and he was not going to let the IP affect it too much. Now, as a gaming fan, you're probably pissed as fuck to hear this. So a lot of you are probably wondering, well, what the fuck, Zach? Like, why would you call this Resident Evil? Why are you doing this? Why would you, if you had your own film, just release your own film? Zach Cregger, you have done Weapons and Barbarian, 2 very successful horror movies. You could do whatever project you want at this point. Why Resident Evil? It's a good question. Let's look at the timeline of events here, yeah? What happened with Welcome to Raccoon City? You guys remember that? That movie came out. Didn't do well. Bombed with critics, fans. I don't know if... Did this have even a box office release? I don't even remember. I think this was a digital release, right? I don't remember. They had set up a sequel. The studios wanted to set up the Umbrella Chronicles sequel to this with returning characters like Robbie Amell playing Chris Redfield, okay? They had set up the sequel. They wanted Zach Cregger to direct the sequel. Unfortunately, the first film didn't do gangbusters at all. And at this point, Zach Cregger had already said, I've always wanted to make my own zombie film. I have a story in mind. And with the bad reception of Welcome to Raccoon City, I think, and the mixed bag that is the Mila Jovovich movies, which are all shit except for maybe a couple, which I like in the beginning of the franchise, Zach Cregger took his advantage here, and he's like, bro, we have an opportunity here. We've ran the experiment with a more accurate, game-accurate story. Didn't do well, and we're trying to do a sequel to a film, Welcome to Raccoon City, that just wasn't good. We had the Mila Jovovich films. I think we need to do a reboot, and I think we need to do something new. So we're going to retrofit the concept of Resident Evil onto the story I want to tell. And I'm going to make it work. I'm going to match it up. And in a way, this becomes the perfect deal for Robert Eggers, because he gets to make the film he wants. And even as a fan of the games, he's a fan of Resident Evil when it comes down to it. Doing this kind of IP would be a dream for him. But as an artist, he doesn't want to just adapt the same exact story. He wants a unique vision. AKA the story he already had in mind before they came to him with the Resident Evil title. So this serves as a passion project for Zach Cregger on a selfish level, and a litmus test for the studios to see, okay, if this does well, despite it not being connected to the IP much beyond a couple things, we can literally just give the fans what they want right in the second movie, third movie, with introducing this character will die. This character's fucking dead, or gonna be gone. This is like an anthology story for him. Maybe Leon gets set up for the next one. Maybe they're waiting to see how this does so that they can be like, okay, we're ready. We know what we're doing. We have a path now. We have a director who's good, writers who are good. Now I think we're ready to truly adapt Resident Evil. Maybe that's what's happening, if I'm being charitable. To them, they're thinking, if fans like it, then we unload it all the gaming shit that they want to see. There's been no news for a sequel on this, by the way, when I Google it. Whenever I Google it, this is what I see. Studio plans for a sequel will likely depend on box office performance and audience reception of the first film after premieres. Makes sense, right? For a lot of films, though, you see stuff like, oh, sequel greenlit already, or, you know, like they did this with 28 years later, where they had the Bone Temple ready to go, right? Some of these horror movies, they do that. With this, they didn't. They're like, we're going to see, because Resident Evil has been a mixed bag on the cinematic level. We're gonna see how Zach Cregger does, and if he does well, then we're gonna unload all of it on the fans. I think because everyone involved in this is aware of the franchise history with Resident Evil and how much of a shit show it's been on screen, they're like, we need to recalibrate here. We're gonna do a reboot. We're gonna forget everything that's happened. We're gonna establish this as its own story, and we're gonna make this in modern day times. Hopefully, people will be okay with it, and if they are, cool. Then we start giving them the characters we want. You know what I think is gonna happen, y'all? I could see a world, yeah. I don't think this is gonna happen because I don't think Zach Cregger is the kind of director to do this. I think he's the type of director to give Easter eggs, not like full-on a showcase of something. I could see a world where this guy dies and you just see like Leon stumble upon his body a couple months later or something in the snow or the dirt or whatever, and he's like literally one of those NPC dead bodies you would see in a game. Like I could literally see that being an end credit scene, yeah. I can see a Robert Pattinson with the Leon style haircut coming through. I don't think Robert Pattinson's Leon in this, to be clear, but I could see that happening, y'all. I could see it happening. Now, what do I think of this? I am not somebody who's a avid gamer. I'm not someone who's going to pretend to be a giant Resident Evil fan like many of you watching. I'm a movie fan first, more than anything. Some fans would ask, okay, but again, Zach Cregger could make any movie he wants at this point with the success and big name he has. People will watch it. Why did he have to call this Resident Evil? Well, one, he's a fan, but two, this is if you want to just enrich your movie with box office money, labeling it after a big IP is the way to do it. Yes, you can call it a fucking cash grab. Most things are nowadays in Hollywood. That's what it is, bro. It's to them, it's like the smartest thing they could have done. We know that we're not going to adapt the characters again because we tried that like twice, back to back. We're done with that. We're going to reboot it. Zach Cregger's going to do his own thing, and we're just going to use the Resident Evil name and profit off of it. And then maybe if this does well, we'll give them what they want in the sequel and the trilogy, blah, blah, blah. So, in many ways, this does come off as a blatant cash grab. I'm just going to be honest. Now, this is literally as far as the deal went, okay? Zach said to the studios, I want to make a zombie film. I have an idea. Y'all want to make money? Let's find a compromise. We're going to say this is a Resident Evil film. This is going to be... You guys wanted me to direct the Resident Evil sequel, right? Well, this is going to be that. Okay? And if it does well, then we'll go and do the gaming stuff. But I want one zombie film that's mine. This is kind of the prideful, artistic ego side coming out. I want one that's mine, my own vision. That's not beholden to any lore or IP. It's mine. But we're still going to call it Resident Evil. Because this is a great way to milk out money. Because then we're going to make money from a first film that doesn't even have the characters people like. And imagine what's going to happen in this. If this movie's good and people like it, imagine what they're going to react if, oh, they see Leon in the trailer for the second one. Resident Evil 2. Right? Business-wise, to them, it's the smartest compromise of all time. This is literally an NPC side quest used as a feeder for a potential game-accurate franchise. That's what's happening. I think you're going to get an end credit scene showcasing, oh, Claire Renfield's name will be mentioned, or somebody, you know, like we're gonna see that. I have a feeling. As far as the film goes from the trailers, again, the second trailer didn't do much for me because I already think the film looks good. I think the film looks great. It's Zach Cregger. I'm not the biggest fan of Weapons. I found it kind of overrated. I loved Barbarian though. Weapons is a well-crafted horror film. I think this looks like a well-crafted zombie film. I think a lot of these zombie creatures in it look fucking terrifying too. I should censor this, to be honest. YouTube's gonna demonetize me real quick. Fuck. You got Baron Vladimir Harkonnen in this too. Don't know why, but he's there. Were there creatures like this in the Resident Evil games? One of them?
No.
One of you guys can tell me. I'm not a big gamer, but
yeah, bad zombie.
Yeah. Personally, if you were to ask me my opinion on this, is this going to be good? I have no doubt it's going to be good. Because Zach Cregger, in my opinion, makes well-crafted films. I have no doubt it's going to be good. I have no doubt that the main character you're going to laugh and have a ball with, too. I actually think a lot of people are going to like the main character. I think Zach Cregger is good at writing different characters with quirky personalities. I think that's a strength of his. It's just, if as a Resident Evil game fan, you can stand the fact that it's not Leon or one of these other people going into a fucking mansion. I don't think Zach wanted to do that story one for one. I think he's too... I'm someone who's... as well... I'm getting into short films, making films, writing stuff. I'm someone who would rather do my own thing than do an adaptation. And that's a problem for the fans because, okay, if you're not doing an adaptation really and you want to do your own thing, why call Resident Evil? Because they were cashing in on it. Because they wanted to see how well this does so they can create a path to milking out the Resident Evil name even more by creating a franchise that's more game accurate, as I said. That's exactly what they're doing. It is a cash grab. No one can say different. That's what it is. Now, does that mean it's a bad thing? No. Because if this movie's really good, it's going to set up a sequel that will probably be more gaming accurate. Or, the possibility that fans could be afraid of is, we're just going to see an anthology story for every movie, where there's a new NPC character fighting off zombies in the city. I do not want to see that.
It's not spot on.
I do, because that shit gets old after a while. You know what I mean? Like that's a big problem I had with like Quiet Place 3, for example. Great. We're seeing the same story, but it's in the city. Cool.
That's what Downpour
it doesn't
was.
ring special to me like the first movie did. I feel like I don't really... I don't feel like anything new has been brought to the table here, you know? Like, it's the same thing with the Predator movies, right? Like, oh, a new hunter's in a forest with a predator, right? You have to mix it up at some point.
Yes.
So, I do not want to see an anthology series where you have one person stuck in a room or a building with zombies, you know? We've seen that before done by non-Resident Evil franchises much better. If you're going to do this, set it up to where you introduce Leon, Claire, all these people for a modern year adaptation of the Resident Evil games. I actually don't care that it's not 1998, personally. I kind of figured that was the case ever since I saw the fucking iPhone in that first teaser.
Yep.
But that's just me. A lot of non-gamer fans will disagree. Let's see how this goes. I think we can all agree, though, that it still does look like a damn good movie, regardless. It just... It doesn't have quite all the things we would want to see from the gaming perspective, which makes us wonder why it was named the way it was. Blatant cash grab. But maybe it's a good cash grab that leads to something better. Who knows? Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a mission.
Yep, true.
To take over Hollywood. but the army must keep growing. If you want to suggest video topics to me, or talk about your favorite movies or favorite film theories in a community with like-minded individuals,
Well, you've seen this already, so I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's been great. I gotta get ready to leave soon because I got some things to take care of. I'll go ship off some products that people bought. So thank you so much for watching. I really do